You too. Be very careful of that man who smiles evilly. Looking at the old man who threw off the reminiscence headscarf with a face full of fright, gasping for breath, a short, middle-aged woman summarized with a serious face. Even though the three of us were assigned to support, the situation at the Virgin Branch, being allies with them is just as dangerous as being their enemies. Whether it's the executioner who attacks without distinguishing friend from foe according to the degree of sin, or the Dice King, who only cares about the success of the task and can't control what happens in the process, both can harm us. And now we need to be especially careful about an additional food god. According to those cleaners from our Timol branch who participated in the promotion assessment, he's even more dangerous than both the executioner and the Dice King. Indeed, after listening to the middle-aged woman's summary, the other two branch directors selected to support the Virgin Branch exchanged glances and nodded together. The executioner's abilities don't distinguish between friend and foe, so you might as well stay away. The Dice King's ability only cares about the result, not the process, but at least the result is good, and this food god, let's just pray not to be targeted by the Slaughter King Association. According to the scenes the two of them saw in the reminiscence headscarf, it seems that once things go wrong or fall into a disadvantage, this food god who dares to kill and eat the true god will go into a frenzy and literally crave his teammates' bodies. Thank you for the reminder. With a grateful glance at the middle-aged woman from the Timol branch, the old man who had just thrown off the reminiscence headscarf spoke with some lingering fear. I've been a cleaner for almost 80 years and I've seen quite a few lunatics, but I've never seen anyone as crazy as this. Yeah, his mental state is terrifying. Upon hearing this, the other branch director couldn't help but nod in agreement and added, compared to those lunatics who wear madness on their faces, this food god is terrifyingly normal. Even in the dream realm his image is that of a normal human. It's absurd, clearly possessing such a terrifying power. Yet his perception of himself hasn't shifted at all, and what's even scarier is that he seems rational and clear-headed, even quite polite. Even when he prepares to eat someone, he apologizes to them first. Stop talking. Just thinking of him smiling at me in that memory makes me feeling a chill down your spine, right? In his mind, the old man finished the sentence for him and couldn't help but sigh, lamenting his bad luck to be assigned a mission with such a pervert. Seeing the two dejected expressions, the middle-aged woman from the Timol branch had to offer some comfort. Actually, the situation isn't that extreme. According to the cleaners we referenced, the food god may be crazy, but he's genuinely powerful. If the Slaughter King Association really targets the Virgin Branch, with him there, it might actually be safer. As for when he goes berserk, after the Virgin Branch's director is transferred to headquarters, the three of us branch directors are the highest in rank, so he has to follow our orders. As long as we prepare in advance and arrange him with the people from the Virgin Branch, even if he goes crazy and wants to eat people, he won't get to us immediately. Yes, that's a good idea. Emma was right. I seem to be smiling more than before, unaware that the three branch directors coming to support were already eyeing him in rumors. Leon was currently in front of the dressing mirror at home, repeatedly practicing benign smiles. Yes, smiling more and looking more handsome too. Seeing his reflection, no longer thin after replenishing nutrition and looking quite healthy, already handsome, Leon couldn't help but nod in satisfaction, then turned around and persuaded Anna, who was flushed with anger at the table. All right, it's just homework. It's not worth getting so angry. Take it slow. It's not just about the homework. Anna, who was tutoring her younger siblings, couldn't help but grit her teeth and retort angrily. Brother, you don't understand. It's not that they can't do it. They just won't do it properly. They insist on arg. Though he didn't know what they insisted on, it seems tutoring is something every parent inevitably faces in their lifetime. Why don't you take a break? After glancing at his sister, who was gnashing her teeth with anger, and then at the two little ones beside shrinking from being yelled at, Leon hesitated for a moment and tentatively suggested, I happen to be free now, and you've had a busy day, so why don't I take a turn today? Let you tutor? Upon hearing Leon's bold, or perhaps reckless, suggestion, Anna fell silent for a moment, then driven by some small evil thoughts, she got up and gave up her spot. And having spent several minutes practicing smiling in the mirror, Leon, feeling unexpectedly amiable, picked up Melanie's homework. The first thing that caught his eye was a reading comprehension exercise that extracted a religious story. Question: in gaining unimaginable wealth with the help of a demon, Assyria lost his soul. What does this teach us? Answer: read the terms carefully when signing a contract. Question: despite earning unimaginable wealth and becoming the richest person in the Monet city-state, why didn't the businessman feel happy? Answer: only knows how to earn, not how to spend. Question: the king didn't gain happiness from power, and the businessman didn't gain happiness from wealth. But then why did the little beggar with nothing laugh at the blooming sunflower by the roadside? Answer: probably hallucinating from hunger, or because sunflower seeds are edible. Alright, let's try another. Keeping his smile intact, Leon calmly returned the homework to Melanie and then sat down beside William, picking up his homework instead. Compared to Melanie's homework, William's was much more advanced. The same religious story reading comprehension, the same 3 questions, with Melanie writing only a few words for each, sometimes even enlarging the lettering to cover space. William's homework was packed with tiny script smaller than rice grains, and as for the answers, William's first question discussed the military strategy of never cooperating with those you can't control. The second question outlined how to use money to buy votes and navigate the Monet city-state's political and military systems, eventually succeeding in ascending by taking over. As for the third question, he provided the little beggar staring blankly at the sunflower with a surprisingly reliable action plan, teaching him how to start with just a bowl and aim to end up with a kingdom. Silently closing William's homework, Leon gazed at his little brother, whose head may be big and round but was full of dragon-slaying strategies, and couldn't help but sigh deeply. How should I put it? Big brother's job might indeed be holding back your personal development. Silently putting down William's imperial guidelines, Leon turned to look at Anna standing behind him, his expression slightly awkward as he said, "Where's little Ellie? Maybe I should help her with her homework first. Ellie's already asleep." Seeing right through Leon's attempt to avoid the issue, Anna rolled her eyes at him impatiently, then sat back down next to Melanie, much to Melanie's despair. And besides, Ellie finished her homework at school. She would never drag it out like these two. "Melanie, look at what you've written. Who said you have to read the terms to sign a contract? Is that what the author meant?" "Well, maybe the author didn't think about it, but this is my personal interpretation. You can have your own interpretation, but you can't write it in the school's exercise book." Grabbing Melanie's ear, the once frail but now healthier-looking girl twisted it slightly, then turned back to the crumpled notebook, pointing to a passage with a somewhat intimidating tone. "Either you write down his interpretation, or I'll spank you. Your choice." "Then, can I write half of it? His interpretation is so long. If you write half of his, I'll spank you half as well, deal? How about a third? Are you really bargaining with me? Write it now. Miss a single word and you'll see what happens." "Boo!" After using her authority and physical intimidation to subdue Melanie, who knew the right answers but habitually tried to shirk work, Anna stood up, walked around the desk, and sat beside William in the position Leon respectfully vacated for her. Then, "William, the question asks why the merchant is unhappy. What is all this you've written?" I'm revising. Glancing at the eldest brother who not only didn't resist Anna's tyranny, but was also ready to cheer her on, William couldn't help but sigh at the pitiful weakness of the sister-complex class. Then he wisely erased his carefully written guide to election bribery and started scribbling the meaningless correct answer. The merchant, though acquiring wealth, lost more in the pursuit of money. He mistakenly believed money would make him happy, but in reality, the things that could truly bring him happiness were those he abandoned while chasing money. However, on the other hand, if he could use the money to make connections and buy a newspaper company targeting the citizens of the Monet city-state and then, And thus, the rest of the sentence never came to be. Under the watchful eye of the elder sister, William had no choice but to sigh softly, reluctantly erasing the parts of his creative expression, and obediently writing down the hypocritical answers crafted by adults under the lamentable constraints of academic examinations. Indeed, it takes Anna to suppress these little devils effectively. Watching his sister forcefully suppress the two mischief-makers and make them comply, Leon couldn't help but let out a long breath, then cleared his throat to lighten the mood. Actually, there's no need to be too rigid, lest you stifle their imagination. Mean? But then again, their imagination is a bit excessive. It's okay to suppress it occasionally. Oh, by the way, under Anna's angry gaze of, "Why don't you come do it?" Leon immediately surrendered at light speed, then proactively changed the topic. "Anna, the bureau recently gave me a raise. My weekly salary increased by an extra 12 gold wheels, and the director also gave me an additional allowance, which is estimated to be over 300 gold wheels." Wow! Upon hearing Leon's words, Anna turned around, looking pleasantly surprised. "That's great. What did you get the raise for this time?" "Because I showed off a bit during the promotion examination, made the bureau look good, and even helped the director with some retaliation, harshly bullying those cleaners who jumped from the Virgin Branch. Of course, that's not how I could say it. Due to my proficient skills." After effortlessly telling a lie, Leon cheerfully said, "In any case, our family will be much better off than now in the future, and I happen to have a few days off. Is there anything you all want?" "Yes, I have something I want." Upon hearing Leon's inquiry, Melanie, who had been eavesdropping all along, immediately threw down her pen and dashed over. Being caught by Leon's outstretched arms, she burrowed her head into his chest like a drill. "Big brother, I want some investment." What the heck? Even though he had anticipated several potential answers, he was still taken aback when Melanie spoke up. Looking at Melanie's excited little face, Leon couldn't help but repeat in shock, "You want investment?" "Yes." With pigtails bouncing as she nodded enthusiastically, Melanie exclaimed with excitement, "Getting pocket money each week is too slow. I discovered a new way to make money. As long as you give me an investment and seed money to hire people, I can definitely—" "Whoa! Hey! You won't see a single copper wheel until your homework is finished." After pulling Melanie out of Leon's arms, Anna scolded in frustration. "And shut down that homework bank of yours immediately. Damn it! You dare to hire people to do your homework for commission. I'm scared to think about what you might get into in the future." "Ah, mine is a legitimate business." Tiptoeing as she was pulled up, Melanie stubbornly retorted, "I can solve the pain points of my target audience, helping students who love learning but lack money connect with those who hate homework but have pocket money. Everyone finds a perfect dynamic balance between pocket money and homework. I'll help your butt find balance with a slipper. Ah, save me. Big brother, save me." "Can't save you, farewell." Watching the home that had only been peaceful for a few minutes turn chaotic again, Leon couldn't help but rub his temples while stopping William from secretly erasing Melanie's homework, and asked slightly wearily, "William, is there anything you want? Let's not mention bribing anyone with my money." "No need. I just want you to listen to a few words from me." Slightly shaking his head, William replied calmly, "Big brother, Sister Veronica fell in love with you at first sight. She's the best woman you'll encounter in your life. You two are a perfect match made in heaven. If you marry her, you'll definitely have both a successful career and a happy family. Wait, what else was there? Let me check first." Under Leon's puzzled gaze, William turned his exercise book to the back, took out a tiny cheat sheet filled with words, and began reciting an elaborate set of praises for Princess Veronica, occasionally stumbling over unfamiliar words. "What's going on with you now?" Pacing himself patiently through William's entire speech, Leon asked in confusion, "What are these you're talking about?" "These were relayed by Sister Veronica." Crushing the tiny cheat sheet into the trash, William continued erasing Melanie's completed homework while calmly replying, She's been quite busy lately. Although she came to find you twice, she couldn't meet you. So, I asked her if she wanted me to relay a message. She thought about it and said the things she wanted to talk about weren't suitable for kids, so there was no need for relaying. But if I could help say some good words about her, she'd let me see all the books in the royal family's collection and also have someone take me to use a mech on weekends. Despicable. All right. Looking at William, who accepted the princess's bribe and betrayed himself, but then turned around and sold out Veronica, Leon couldn't help but be silent for a moment before proactively changing the topic. Let's put this aside for now. Why did you erase Melanie's completed homework? Because she copied my answers. Leon answered calmly. People who copy homework get punished with extra writing exercises by teacher Lisa. Based on what I know about Melanie, by Monday she'll definitely use her better grades as an excuse to confuse facts, insisting that I copied her answers. And because teacher Lisa is so gentle, if she can't figure out who copied whom, she definitely won't wrong someone casually. Most likely, she'll change it to both of us standing in punishment. So I'm defending myself in advance to prevent her from dragging me down tomorrow. Wow, so that's the deal. But couldn't you just report her to Anna directly? Although the homework would still have to be erased after reporting. So erasing it early saves you one step? Is this your plan? Forget it, I'm really not good at handling kid matters. I'd better wait for Anna. Silently sitting on the chair, watching William erase all the repeated answers, Leon realized he truly lacked the ability to manage children and watched as Melanie got beaten. Then saw her discover her homework had been erased. Then watched as she screamed and rushed over to duel William, only to be exposed for copying homework, and then grabbed by Anna for a second round of suppression. To be honest, my role as the big brother is just to open my mouth, eat my teammates, and fight a couple of kings of nightmares, while Anna, who suppresses these two demon lords of mayhem, has much more to consider. After a bout of intensified chaos, ultimately it was Empress Anna who crossed Ian's, not only suppressing one demon lord of mayhem single-handedly but also managing to press these two first-grade overlords from Bridge Public School to finish all their homework by 10:30. Even more terrifying is that within 15 minutes of finishing the homework, Empress Anna used her secret technique to purify the water, stuffed the two demon lords into the small bathroom for a forced wash, finally tossed them onto the demon king's bed, covered with the sealed blanket, and even took the time to chant a lullaby, forcing the two demon lords into dreamland. Anna, seeing his sister carefully tuck Melanie's foot back under the covers, then attentively straighten the corners, taking care of the two little demon lords with meticulousness, Leon couldn't help but be moved for a moment, exclaiming with full admiration, "These years have truly been hard on you." ? Not knowing why he suddenly said this, Anna blinked in confusion before gently shaking her head. "Not really, all these are just small tasks. Your work is what's truly exhausting." At this point, she hesitated slightly before softly saying, "Brother, if your work is really dangerous, why don't you?" "Don't worry." Interrupting Anna, Leon laughed and bluffed. "At first, it was indeed a bit dangerous, but now I'm much more skilled than before, and hardly encounter any dangers anymore. Plus, I'm very cautious and flee immediately in the face of danger, never taking risks. People even call me Cowardly Leon now, haha. In summary, while my job is somewhat risky, I'm always very careful, so you absolutely don't need to worry about my safety. Responding lightly with a bowed head, the still somewhat slender Anna did not continue the topic, but reached out to smooth down Leon's shirt wrinkled by Melanie and then asked, "Since you're rarely on holiday and tomorrow is the weekend, how about we take William and the others to the amusement park for a day? It might help clear our minds too." Although taking these two demon lords of mayhem to the amusement park seemingly feels more like asking for trouble than relaxation, but thinking carefully, I've indeed been busy with work for the past few months, neglecting family affairs, even returning from a business trip to Kralik Kingdom without gifts for them. I really should make time to spend with family. Visiting the amusement park sounds like a nice idea. Sure. Nodding in agreement with Anna's suggestion, Leon smiled and quietly said, "Little Ellie too. These three children haven't been to the amusement park yet, Imagine how excited they'll be tomorrow. Yes, indeed. Responding to Leon's words with a soft smile, Anna nodded and then gently pulled Leon out of the bedroom, carefully moving into the kitchen. Brother, you should rest first. Smiling towards Leon's puzzled expression, Anna explained while tying on an apron. The food sold at amusement parks is expensive, and according to Hannah's account, the ingredients seem not very clean. Melanie's stomach isn't good either. Overall, it's better to have a picnic in a small garden than eat there, so I need to prepare a bit. Oh! Watching Anna expertly busying herself in the kitchen, handling the ingredients delicately, Leon paused for a moment before speaking again. By the way, Anna, you haven't told me what you'd like to buy. Pausing her cutting of fish jelly at Leon's question, the slender girl was momentarily stunned before lightly laughing, shaking her hand. There's no need. I'm not a child. Why would I want a gift? It's necessary. Leon insisted. Even though you're not a child anymore, you're still my sister, right? It's perfectly normal for a brother to give small gifts to his sister. Fine, fine. Seeing Leon's persistence, Anna could only helplessly shake her head. Then, after a moment of thought, suggested, why not get me a new apron then? This one has been used for over 2 years and is a bit worn. Or a slightly bigger pot would be nice. With 3 kids at home now, their appetite has grown a lot. The old pot is somewhat insufficient. Or maybe a new iron would be great too. Many of our old clothes brought here are wrinkled. Silently listening as Anna listed several items, Leon's eyes grew increasingly tender. So, your wants are still household items. None of them are for yourself. I'll buy them all. After noting down everything Anna wanted, Leon couldn't help but guide her as he looked at his sister who appeared desireless. But these are all household items. Anna, do you have anything you want personally? Like some silver jewelry or a slightly more expensive new dress? But I have no use for those, right? The slender girl furrowed her brow. Apart from taking care of them, I help Aunt Mary and occasionally do rough work. Small jewelry might easily get scratched, and a new dress. Oh, right. A new dress might be worth buying. As she spoke, Anna glanced down at her slightly faded old dress and the apron stretched across her chest, then said somewhat shyly, recently, my old dresses are getting a bit tight. Time to buy a nicer new dress. No, let's just go with a formal gown. A formal gown? Leon paused upon hearing this, somewhat puzzled. Why do you need a formal gown? Do you have some important occasion to attend? Upon Leon's inquiry, Anna looked over in surprise, asking in confusion. Of course. Isn't your wedding next month? Ah? Royal Mail News. Good news. The Robin and the Lion are about to unite. Commentators News. The new king is coming. The princess might officially ascend the throne post-wedding. New Industry News. As the princess's wedding approaches, these sectors might see a boost. Corner Alley News. Countdown. 19 days until the wedding of the century. The Sun News. Who plucked the capital rose? A recap of 15 past romances of the groom. In the middle of the night, Leon knocked on his neighbor's door, borrowed recent newspapers, and was completely caught off guard by the increasingly exaggerated reports. He instantly broke down defensively. Good news, I'm about to get married. Bad news, I seem to be the last to know. Question mark. Watching Leon's caught off guard look, Anna couldn't help but ask softly in her confusion. Brother? What's wrong with you? Are you not ready yet? Am I not ready? I never even got a chance to prepare. After twitching the corners of his mouth a couple of times, Leon said with an utterly speechless face, The princess, Veronica, what did she say to you? That I agreed to get married next month. Not really. Noticing something seemed a bit different from what she understood, the slender girl blinked and then said in a surprised tone, Sister Veronica said she originally thought the progress was a bit fast, with a lot of things happening recently, and hoped to spend more time with you before considering marriage. But you seemed very anxious, worried about her having other plans, so you kept pushing and pushing. Then when you came back from your trip, You presented her a very precious gift that moved her beyond words. In short, seeing you so eager, she had no choice but to accept your proposal. Yeah. She also said, I should persuade you from time to time not to worry, because in her heart, you'll always be the only one. After listening to this version, which not only doesn't match the truth, but is not even close, Leon was stunned, unable to speak for quite a while. Noticing something off in Leon's expression, Anna worriedly asked, Brother, did you two have a fight? We didn't fight before, but now I really want to argue with her. It's nothing. We just had a little misunderstanding. It'll be fine once it's cleared up. Seeing the concern in his sister's eyes, Leon, after holding back for a while, eventually didn't say anything, instead managing to show a kind smile. I'm a bit tired. I'm going to sleep first. You should rest early too. Then you should rest first. After casting Leon a worried glance, the usually mild-mannered Anna didn't press further outside of her child-rearing duties, and softly said, Brother, although I've never been in love, I've heard from others that the most important thing when being together is communication. Sister Veronica has been too busy lately, always looking exhausted when she tries to find you. She might not be doing everything right, but she definitely cares about you. Whatever issues you have, if you communicate well, it might just resolve them directly. Although, is it possible that our biggest issue right now is that she decided on the marriage without discussing it with me? Feeling too awkward to admit he was tricked, Leon mumbled a few vague words before yawning and heading into his bedroom. Then, at the moment of closing the door, he unhesitatingly climbed out the window, scrambled down the wall, and sprinted towards the palace. Demand accountability. Must immediately demand accountability. Although Veronica isn't annoying and is, in a way, a decent marriage choice, getting tied up in this muddled way is still a bit too strange. It's late at night now. After glancing at the clock hands pointing at 12, the weary-faced lady-in-waiting couldn't help but yawn and then continued to force her spirits up as she handed the document waiting for signature to Princess Veronica. Your Highness, this is the budget from the Treasury. They think the kingdom's finances are tight lately and directly constructing a new park is too costly. Instead, the scholars and workers from the Kralik Kingdom should be integrated into our existing factories, so it means making a wedding dress for them. After taking the budget from the lady-in-waiting, Princess Veronica wrote down a less polite response and then called over her aide, calmly instructing, Draft a reply for me, stating the kingdom's existing industrial system finds it difficult to connect with the technology and processes from Kralik Kingdom. Although cost-saving, this would dismantle Kralik's original high-efficiency industrial system. Furthermore, dispersing Kralik's talent isn't conducive to absorbing new technology, as the core of industrial development is always scale and, forget it, don't write a reply, just draft a directive. Take this down. Frowning in thought for a few seconds, Princess Veronica slowly dictated. According to the newly passed legislation in the upper house, unless the Treasury can prove substantial flaws in the proposal, it should first assist in its implementation and only challenge it after verification. Any premature rejection of the budget I submit without cause is against the new legislation's spirit. Such actions intentionally delaying progress needed for the kingdom's development constitute a crime against the kingdom and its people. Thus, I intend to reprimand the Treasury's budget department. Using relatively refined language to express, do it if you can, quit if you can't. Princess Veronica handed over the finished critique documents to the lady-in-waiting, and then requested, Please help me review documents sent by the Treasury afterward. If they continue trying to exploit their power to gain benefits from the kingdom, reject and handle them as done today. If similar occurrences happen repeatedly, don't hesitate to simultaneously notify the departments of investigation and audit to start a probe. Are there any other pending documents? Yes. After jotting down the princess's instructions, the lady-in-waiting promptly handed over another prepared document, introducing, This is a note from the Northern Kingdom. They wish to send the former king's sister to attend your and Prince Leon's wedding. I see. Upon hearing the words wedding and Leon, a subtle tenderness crept into Princess Veronica's eyes, although she quickly steeled herself to refuse. Reply with a refusal. If the Northern Kingdom wants to send someone, only officials at the foreign minister level are allowed to attend. More senior diplomatic personnel are denied entry. All right. After hearing Princess Veronica's response, the lady-in-waiting nodded and hurriedly began writing, while the nearby attendant hesitantly reminded her. Your Highness, the Northern Kingdom, adjacent to Ryan County, seems to have been active lately. Last time, you specifically reminded us that what the kingdom needs most right now is time. If we encounter similar sensitive situations, we must handle them with caution and try not to provoke them. So, should the wording of the reply be reconsidered slightly? No need. Let's write it as it is currently. Princess Veronica shook her head upon hearing this, and then explained. The news that we've received all the affected nationals from Kralik Kingdom, which encountered a once-in-a-millennium tsunami, has slowly spread, so the Northern Kingdom sending people to attend my wedding is not to congratulate, but to get a share of the pie. The precious technologies Leon brought back cannot be kept entirely for ourselves. Definitely, they can't be shared with the Northern Kingdom. As long as their food and climate issues are unresolved, they will continue to wage war against us. Additionally, she hesitated slightly at this point, then pursed her lips and said, additionally, I hope this wedding can be pure without too much unnecessary political maneuvering mixed in. Try to delay these matters until after the wedding. Here's the deal: if other kingdoms send similar notices, when you reply to them, you can subtly hint at my thoughts in the wording to convey my intentions discreetly. I've noted it down. With a nod of acknowledgement, the attendant buried his head in writing as he exchanged a secretive glance with the lady-in-waiting, seeing the same meaningful look on her face. According to Princess Veronica's past, use everything to its fullest utilitarian style, she should have used the wedding's advantage to play the diplomatic game, engaging in cutthroat world intrigue with other countries harboring hidden intentions. Yet this time, she has surprisingly foregone the advantages of the wedding, preferring to weaken her stance somewhat to delay all political maneuvering until later, striving for a pure wedding. It seems she might be truly deeply in love, and not just ordinarily deeply. What's that expression on your faces? It's nothing, nothing. I was just admiring her makeup. It's done quite well. Well, she's a little tired. We're just cheering each other up. Heh. You two really are. After glancing at the lady-in-waiting's face, initially serious but subtly humorous in expression, Princess Veronica, with her ears slightly reddening, chuckled and admitted frankly. The situation is exactly as you think, after all. It's supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime important day. Although I am a princess, I am also an ordinary woman. Naturally, I would hope that years from now, when I look back on that day, there will be less scheming and more beautiful memories. What's wrong with that? Indeed, perfectly right. Admiring the princess, who wasn't masking her thoughts and openly expressed her desires, seeing that she didn't shy away from discussing this matter, the attendant couldn't resist the curiosity brimming in his heart any longer and asked gossipingly, Your Highness, how exactly did you meet Prince Leon? How did they meet? Princess Veronica was slightly taken aback by the question and, after some thought, straightforwardly replied, The first time we met was at his ceremony for succeeding as Duke. At that time we encountered rebels. Well, some things happened, and we gradually became familiar afterward. Successor ceremony. That was only about 2 months ago, wasn't it? Listening to Princess Veronica's words, the attendant couldn't help but say in surprise, Your Highness, so you've only known each other for a little over 2 months. But you already like him so much? Even willing to change yourself for him? Although this is indeed the situation, it seems like I've been showing a bit too overzealous in my actions. Upon seeing the attendant's shocked expression, Princess Veronica bit her lip covertly and then spoke with a slightly reddened face. Some things aren't determined by the length of time. If you meet the right person, you'll know. Often, it's actually not that complicated. Could happen in just an instant. So it really was love at first sight? The lady-in-waiting, who was eavesdropping nearby, couldn't help exclaiming, and then said enviously, I did hear that Prince Leon proposed to you at first sight. Didn't realize it was really true. Wow. As expected of the royal capital's most beautiful rose. This kind of love at first sight, I've only seen in novels before. The proposal was indeed real, but based on what I found out later, he seemed to want an excuse to shake off the Duke of Lionheart's title. But I just happened to catch him, facing the envy-filled gazes of the two. Princess Veronica, known for her frankness, blushed slightly and, surprisingly, chose not to clear up the misunderstanding, but implicitly agreed. Actually, it's not about showing off or some kind of feminine vanity, but, these matters involve Leon's secrets, naturally can't be indiscriminately disclosed. That's all. Though it was already late at night, supported by the burning spirit of gossip, the two felt invigorated, pulling the reluctant Princess Veronica into spirited conversation. So it was Prince Leon who first fell for you? Not exactly falling for, but he did propose to me very quickly, and he was particularly sincere, shouting loudly despite dissent from the entire Ryan family, claiming he chose me and wouldn't marry anyone else this lifetime. Wow! Both exclaimed together, immensely satisfying a particular princess's vanity, then proceeded with incessant questions. When did you start liking him then? Well, it developed a bit later, as I've always been traditional. How could I agree to someone just because I was pursued? Despite being constantly pushed to retreat in her relationship with Leon, always in a weaker position, Princess Veronica seized the opportunity to relish her advantage with pride and restraint, declaring, I had no choice. His pursuit was too enthusiastic, even directly using the entire Ryan family as a betrothal gift. I really couldn't refuse. Oh my, that's quite something. Did you just agree like that? Agree? How could I agree? I'm not that easy of a woman, but I couldn't help it. He's just too persistent. With an expression of helplessness, Princess Veronica sighed lightly and said, You don't know, Leon appears somewhat aloof, but in reality he chases passionately. He's constantly running to find me, even when he's busy, taking me out, and sometimes sneaking into the royal palace to see me at night. Wow, how thrilling! That's really bold. Bold? The truly bold act is still coming. For the first time, freely bragging without worrying about being discovered, the exuberantly blushing princess smiled, raising her gaze to the bright moon outside the window, speaking with dignity and grace. I remember the last time the moon was this round. After waiting for a while without hearing more, the impatient lady-in-waiting couldn't help asking curiously, What did he do? Go on, tell us. How did he come here? If there's anything in this world more embarrassing than being caught exaggerating, it's being caught when you're really in the swing of it and realizing the person involved is right outside the window, looking at you with a strange expression, muttering some excuse about the night being late. Veronica managed to shoo away the ladies-in-waiting and attendants eager for more gossip, and then, as if facing a judge, opened the window of her bedroom, blushing furiously, and mumbled, "WH, when did you get here?" "When you told the ladies-in-waiting to keep an eye on the treasury." "So you heard everything?" Upon learning this devastating fact, Veronica's heart, which had been hanging by a thread, finally gave up completely. Under Leon's peculiar gaze, the color of the sunset spread from her cheeks to her ears, and even the neckline of her nightgown couldn't hide the faint blush on her neck. "Why didn't you?" The princess, wanting to sink into the ground, said with a trembling voice, "Why didn't you come in? Or make some noise? You seemed to be enjoying the conversation, so I didn't want to interrupt." "Ah! Even though you didn't interrupt our conversation, you've utterly killed my dignity." After a moment of silence with Leon, the princess, inwardly screaming, turned aside and let him into her bedroom, then turned away and softly said, "So, why did you come to see me?" "Well, I came to ask you something." Although Leon had listened to the entire made-up love story by the princess, he saw her embarrassment and the potential for her to flee at any moment. So he straightforwardly asked, "What's up with this wedding next month? How is it set without me knowing? I've tried finding you several times." Seeing Leon's apparent intention to hold her accountable, Princess Veronica blinked and replied slightly pitifully, "But you were never home, so I had no choice but to go ahead and arrange our wedding." "No way. What nonsense are you talking?" Leon asked speechlessly. "Why couldn't you manage? Half of the kingdom is already in your grasp. Who could be forcing you to marry me?" "Actually, yes." Veronica, gradually calming down, blinked and earnestly answered, "Although my father is ready to abdicate, I'm still just a princess. I can't do many things legitimately until I officially become king and take over everything in the royal family. According to our kingdom's laws, an unmarried prince or princess cannot inherit the throne. I must marry you first to become the next queen." "Having to marry before inheriting the throne?" Leon frowned at her words and skeptically asked, "How come I haven't heard that? Since when did the kingdom have this rule?" "It's about to be established." "Huh. My proposal hasn't been passed yet, but once the upper chamber convenes for the next parliament session, this section will be written into royal law." "Oh. So it's your own rule." Almost spraining his back from the sarcasm, Leon noticed the princess had overcome the awkward moment and was habitually teasing him again. His expression darkened as he unhesitatingly retorted, "Where's your modesty? Weren't you just saying you wouldn't have agreed if I hadn't pursued you so passionately?" "Don't." Caught off guard by Leon revisiting this topic, Princess Veronica exclaimed in surprise and quickly rushed over, intending to cover Leon's mouth. However, whether due to panic or her own ample assets, Veronica couldn't keep her balance, causing her slipper to snag on the carpet, and she tottered forward. Seeing her close her eyes as if ready to take a hard fall, Leon sighed and quickly stepped forward to catch her. Phew, that was close. Propped in Leon's arms, she took rapid breaths, initially shocked. Before she could speak, she noticed Leon awkwardly turning his head, his earlobe faintly red. Meh. In that moment when Leon reached out to stop Princess Veronica, he felt regret creeping into his mind. If words could describe his sensation, it was like he'd been nudged by a soft and enticing waterskin, one that made his heart flutter. Moreover, with the bedroom fireplace ablaze and Veronica only wearing a single-layer nightgown, her lush body's warmth was almost completely felt. Honestly, for someone in their adolescent years, this was a bit hard to handle. "Your Highness." After a few seconds of waiting with no response, Leon gathered all his willpower and gently pushed her arm to help her stand upright. But to Leon's surprise, the body he nudged didn't rise. Instead, it softly clung to him, with a pair of warm arms wrapping around his waist. "I knew you were afraid of this." Leon felt his muscles tense as the princess giggled playfully, tugging at his lapels and looking up with a feigned innocence. "That was close. Almost fell down. Good thing you were here." "Is this a joke or what?" Seeing Veronica begin her act of helplessness, Leon's mouth twitched as he placed his hands on her shoulders to push her away, but his clothes were already grabbed first. Leon retreated twice before finally giving up and said helplessly, "What are you up to now?" "I'm not up to anything." The princess, now in the lead, gave a smug smile and blinked her eyes. "You forgot? You came to discuss the wedding anyway. What do you think I should wear on that day? Something dignified and solemn? Or something grand and bright?" Let's be honest, the issue isn't with what gown to wear. It's about why you need to wear one. Fully aware of Princess Veronica's skill with going along with things, Leon shivered slightly before grabbing her hand circling his back, forcing a stern face. "More importantly, you." "But isn't it a bit rude?" Having caught her hand by surprise, the princess entwined her fingers with Leon's right hand, snuggling closer and blinking. "Leon, why don't you look at me while speaking?" "I'm not avoiding your gaze. I'm just unsure where to look." Faced with Veronica's aggressive advances, the weary Leon had no choice but to lift his head and remind her sternly. "Dignity. Your Highness. Maintain dignity." Ah, what good is dignity? If I keep up this pretentiousness now, I might end up sleeping alone for the rest of my life. Leon. Ignoring Leon's reminder, Princess Veronica pressed her weight against him even more, her face slightly flushed as she whispered, "Haven't you noticed? It's really cold in here now. Cold my foot. It's warm here." After glancing at the roaring fireplace, Leon, feeling speechless, noticed the arms around his waist were getting tighter and had no choice but to pull back with a sullen face. "It must be the wind. I'll close the window. Let go of me first." "No, I'm cold." "If you're cold, let go and let me close the window." "But if I let go, I'll be cold." "If you're cold, loosen your grip and let me close the window." "But if you go close the window, I'll be cold." "I'm wasting my breath talking to you." Seeing that this argument seemed to be endless, Leon simply lifted Princess Veronica horizontally, and amidst her little surprised cry, he reached back and shut the window, then urged, "It's no longer cold. Let go quickly." "No way." Her arms wrapped around his neck, Princess Veronica pouted. "Although my body isn't cold anymore, my heart is starting to feel cold. I think you need to cool down a bit." Faced with the princess who couldn't be described as clingy, Leon, numb in every sense, could only try to persuade. "I don't want to cancel the wedding, it's just that it feels too rushed. We should first seek an emotional closeness. Then, now you're talking." Princess Veronica blinked upon hearing this, tugging at his neck as she burrowed her upper body into his arms, then said, "Our hearts are really close now. No one can be closer than us." Feeling a bit flustered by the inappropriate level of closeness, Leon quickly leaned his head back. "No, that's not what I meant by heart." "No problem. Whatever heart it is, it can be close. Give it up. There's no way I'll let go. Absolutely no way. You came today, so don't expect to leave whole. Either leave the promise of marrying next month or just leave yourself." The arms wrapped around Leon's neck tightened once more, as a resolute glint flashed in Princess Veronica's eyes. In life, it seems there are many opportunities, but those truly important ones affecting an entire life appear only once or twice. If you seize them, you've seized them. If you miss them, they're gone forever. Having a man who aligns with her ideals, supports her career, and meets all her criteria, she must hold on tightly. If she lets this opportunity slip, he'd end up in another woman's embrace. No, absolutely no chance of that happening. No, this is really going south. Reading a determined resolve from Princess Veronica's glistening eyes, Leon felt his scalp tingle and decided to bail respectfully, pushing her shoulder gently. "Well, it's really late now. I need to go out tomorrow, so don't bother rushing back. Just stay here, and I'll send someone to take you back early tomorrow." As Leon wore a surprised expression, the increasingly flushed princess lowered her head, resting her heated cheeks on his shoulder, inviting in a mosquito-like voice, "My bed is big, and definitely fits 2 people. This can't stay. Absolutely can't stay. Regardless of what might happen, if I dare stay here tonight, I'm bound to be tightly bound by her." Involuntarily drawing a sharp breath, feeling like a predator had fixed its gaze on him, Leon shook his head frantically in refusal. That doesn't seem right, does it?" "What's not right? We're legally engaged. What's wrong with sleeping in the same bed?" "Well, bed aside, I really have to go now. How about you first let go?" "Nope." The beauty snake entangling her prey wrapped tighter, her lips unintentionally pressing into bite marks while she silently leaned towards Leon's ear, whispering with scented breath, "If you insist on going back now, then take me with you." "Did something happen to you?" Faced with a princess who was ahead of herself and wouldn't stop until she succeeded, Leon, tied up without options, could only threaten. "If you insist on not letting go, I really will carry you back." Think carefully. It's night, but there might be people on the streets." "I don't care if there are people. I real don't believe this." With a sweet iris fragrance surrounding him, Leon felt the body in his arms warming up significantly, even trembling slightly. He took a deep breath and truly turned towards the window, carrying her. Based on his understanding of Veronica, though she appeared fearless, she wasn't truly straightforward. Her consistent advances were managed through strong self-control, suppressing her inner shyness. But being carried brazenly through town and discovered by Anna the next day was an unbearable shame for her. So as long as he displayed determination, she would definitely retreat. Sure enough, when Leon turned towards the window, the embarrassed princess, even with arms blushing, suddenly released his neck and began struggling. "Leon, you put me down. Ha, where's your courage? This is it?" Confronting Veronica's retreat, Leon, finally gaining the upper hand, couldn't help but tighten his hold while teasing. "What's the matter? Weren't you going back with me? Why suddenly change your mind?" "No. No. No what?" The rare chance for payback, Leon wouldn't miss out, rapidly escalating his words. "Weren't you unafraid of being seen?" You, oh my." Surprised by the swift retribution, Princess Veronica clenched her fists, lay in Leon's arms, and ashamedly covered her face, moaning a reminder. There's someone by the window." "Ah!" Taken by surprise per Veronica's reminder, Leon reluctantly raised his head and looked towards the shut window. The newcomer, whom he had referred to the cleanup bureau, was clutching a large golden retriever, hiding his flushed face, and crouched back turned towards them within the window glass. "Not, you're really committed, huh? Leon senpai." After being nudged out of the window by the big golden retriever, Layla, who had once again interrupted at a crucial moment with her head lowered, murmured softly, Actually, I didn't see anything. Or, maybe I saw a little bit." Facing Leon's speechless expression, Miss Schwangpa seemed to realize her lie was getting a bit too far-fetched and quickly continued to add, "But my lips are sealed. I definitely won't spread what you were doing. Although, according to what I know about you, the things you've interrupted seem to have been spread. Besides, what's up with saying we stole something? What did we steal?" Miss Layla, unlike Leon, whose voice was stuck with thousands of soldiers and horses, Princess Veronica, as a somewhat seasoned politician, had already initially suppressed her embarrassment and regained some rationality. Upon catching the unspoken meaning in Miss Schwampa's words, the princess, who had now learned her name, couldn't help but frown slightly, reminding her with a somewhat unfriendly tone, "Don't you read the newspaper usually? Leon and I are an engaged couple, not what you think, so please be a bit more careful with your words." "Ah!" Upon hearing the slightly displeased response from the princess, Miss Schwangpa seemed startled, then first looked at Leon in surprise, and then apologized timidly. I don't have much money, so I rarely buy newspapers, sorry. I said the wrong thing again." "No, you didn't say the wrong thing. In a way, you actually said it very well." Noticing the direction of her gaze, Princess Veronica's brow arched slightly. She then squinted at Leon. This Miss Layla, who came looking for Leon in the middle of the night, is the kind of person whose thoughts are particularly easy to guess. Her first reaction upon hearing about my engagement with Leon was to look at him in surprise. Considering she walked in on our secret rendezvous, her instinctive judgment was that it was an affair. Does that imply that deep in her subconscious, Leon actually belongs to another woman? Layla, unaware of Princess Veronica's speculation in her mind, seeing the anxious face of Miss Schwangpa, Leon couldn't help but shake his head helplessly, then proactively asked, "It's already so late, why did you bring woof woof?" "Oh, Miss Lisa." With the young retriever's bark as a reminder, recalling the name of the golden retriever, Leon nodded to the golden retriever, who was curiously examining the princess, then reopened his mouth to ask, "Layla, why did you suddenly come over with Miss Lisa? Is there something going on at the office that needs me to return immediately?" "Ah, yes." Upon hearing Leon's inquiry, Miss Schwangpa finally realized, quickly said, Leon Senpai, Director Olivia asked me to find you, hoping you could go back as soon as possible. The 3 deputy directors sent by the office to replace her have arrived. 3 deputy directors from the non-Zodiac branch. Only 3. Upon hearing Miss Zhuangpa's relayed message, Leon's expression instantly turned serious, realizing that something was likely brewing again. No, because since the 3 deputy directors responsible for guarding the kingdom are already here, then as the strongest fighter of the Virgo branch, the director should still follow the original plan to head to the headquarters to guard against the attack by Aquarius director. But according to the news Layla crashed upon, the target of the Aquarius director's attack is actually the Virgo branch, and the director has notified the boards about this. Yet the boards not only didn't have the director stay, they didn't even send extra manpower, still only dispatching 3 deputy directors over. Then this matter is certainly worth discussing. After all, even if the boards don't believe the intelligence Layla got, or assume it might be a smokescreen released by Aquarius, deciding not to act on it, taking extra precautions still wouldn't hurt. Even if urgently needing their director's combat support, requiring her to be transferred to headquarters for mutual defense. At least they could send more deputy directors for support. There's no way the office couldn't spare that manpower. But the boards did not send extra personnel, still maintaining the original arrangement, only dispatching 3 deputy directors for support. Then this probably could only be explained by one reason. The headquarters likely wants to bait, based on the existing intelligence and speculation. Judging that the boards might be trying to set a trap, Leon immediately switched to work mode. With eyes shining brightly, he nodded. All right, I'll head back right away. After speaking, he instinctively took a step forward, wanting to return to the office immediately through the mirror world, but seemed to remember something, turning back to look at the princess. Veronica, can you help me with? Go with peace of mind. Glancing at Leon's eyes that suddenly sparkled, and his entire body suddenly taut, Princess Veronica was silent for a moment. Then, with a calm expression, she gently assured, if you haven't returned by tomorrow, I will explain to Anna's side. Also, although I don't know what you're going to face, but if just in case if you really can't come back, then they are my brother and sister. Wow, this is already setting up flags ahead. After a glance at her soft and firm eyes, even without touching the black goat's horn, Leon instinctively understood. Veronica must be telling the truth. Thus he couldn't help but nod slightly in gratitude. Although these words sound somewhat ominous, in facing the Aquarius director with strange means, he indeed has no confidence in being able to come out unharmed. This somewhat ominous promise is exactly what he needs most right now. Thank you. No need for thanks. Princess Veronica blinked. If nothing goes wrong, remember to come back and marry me. Also, regardless of whether you come back or not, I will hold the wedding as scheduled on the 3rd of next month. Fight this battle and go back home to get married. Huh? Geez, this sounds even more ominous now. Faced with a flag that's wielded with such ferocity and pointed directly at him by the princess, Leon's mouth twitched slightly, then spoke with difficulty. About this matter. Regarding a woman willing to stay a widow her whole life for you, and promises to take care of your brother and sister for a lifetime regardless of whether you come back, do you have anything else to say? So, am I not here to exact punishment? Under Princess Veronica's watchful gaze, Leon sighed deeply as he awkwardly pulled the golden-haired dog through the window. I'm doomed. This time, I'm probably really screwed. Woof woof. You're finished. Huh? What are you, a single underage pup, meddling with? Want to discuss this with me? Wait until you grow bigger than a slipper. Vengefully ruffling Harry's forehead, messing up his little tuft of golden hair, Leon sighed and opened the badge slot, switching the poop scooper badge. Oh no, he brought out the advanced breeder badge. Breeder possesses a pet that recognizes you as its master and maintains a long-term feeding relationship. Wearing effect, after a long time of mutual companionship, you and the pet you raise have become mentally connected. Sometimes it can understand your meaning even without instructions. Advanced route. If the pet feeding duration exceeds a year and the pet's physical condition remains healthy, this badge will automatically advance to the silver badge breeder. If the number of fed pets continues to increase, until more than 10 pets are sustained healthy for more than half a year. This badge will automatically advance to the silver badge, Animal Pen Master. If expanding the range of breeding to include other creatures beyond 10 ordinary animals, establishing long-term master-servant feeding relationships, this badge will bypass the silver stage and directly advance to the hidden gold badge master. Current long-term fed creatures: 1 mirror dog, 1 word-eating worm, 4 demons. Days of feeding relationship required to advance to breeder. More pets required and all pets to maintain healthy for 362 days to advance to Animal Pen Master. Creatures beyond ordinary animals required and maintain master-servant feeding relationship for over 30 days to advance to Master. Hidden trait: no wearing needed as a well-reviewed breeder. Your affinity with animals will be greatly enhanced. To be honest, although this badge is only bronze level, the subsequent advancements are really hard to achieve. Patting Harry's butt, letting it take him back to the bureau, Leon rubbed his brow in some difficulty. This Poop Scooper badge was activated along with the mirror dog, counting over 2 months ago. Logically, it should have advanced by now. Just maintaining a pet's healthy condition for a month allows Poop Scooper to advance to breeder. Unfortunately, the director went on a drunken spree in between, getting poor Harry drunk for a whole day, and the drunken state was undoubtedly unwell, considered poor feeding behavior, resetting the progress of Poop Scooper advancement. Later, Harry himself caught a cold from playful antics, plus accidentally upset stomach from bad food, so this badge that should have long advanced was reset twice in progress, until barely fulfilling a month's worth 2 days ago, successfully advancing to bronze level. This shows that there are too many unexpected events in life. No matter how careful, it's hard to not have any problems for a whole year. Plus, I really don't have year-long energy to meticulously feed pets. Those first 2 advancement options can be directly eliminated. As for the third master option, if the black goat's offals are gathered, it might almost work. Feeling the thrive-growing offals, satisfaction flashed in Leon's eyes. Though they verbally deny it, they indeed feed on their own desires and sins, thus counting as fed pets, and they don't even need personal feeding. They're the perfect filler for card game glitches. Too bad the last promotion assessment was too busy. Spent time just talking and eating people. Didn't manage to find Abigail to trade for goat whips. Otherwise already would have secured 7 pet quotas by now. Seems like I'll have to try writing a few letters through the director's channel more often to really strengthen ties. After all, I did save her life, plus not going to directly demand anything, just offering equal trade with other abnormal objects. She probably won't refuse, right? While Leon considered how to write a letter to subtly remind Abigail of the life-saving grace, yet without appearing to corner her for favors, the rapidly switching mirror world around stabilized completely, and Harry's barking echoed in his ear. Woof, woof, woof. We're here. Woo, thank you. Replying in the basic dog language learned from Harry, Leon exited out of his office door glass, stood in the Virgin Branch's first-floor hallway. However, squelch! Along with somewhat sticky sounds, the hallway that Leon had walked many times before unexpectedly became exceptionally sticky, directly sticking his shoes to the floor. And just as Leon instinctively kicked off his shoes, pulling out the silver dagger of cutting to retaliate, a strand of red hair quietly swept by, cutting a circle along Leon's shoe sole, directly scraping a thin layer off the tile beneath him, freeing his shoe from the hallway. Don't use any abnormal objects. Just walk over directly. From the director's office, the familiar voice of the red-haired director came through. The bureau's ground has been reverse-taped by Harry. Anything abnormal, contacting it will be directly stuck. Oh, also, don't touch the walls. Before Leon could reach to support himself on the wall, the red-haired director reminded again. The walls have Amiens potion, the kind absorbed through skin contact. Be careful not to rub it. What? I just left for vacation not long ago? How has the bureau changed? And what are these? Although Harry's and Amiens' capabilities are decent, even if Aquarius went senile, he wouldn't fall for such trivial tricks, pure redundancy. With some resignation, retracting his hand from the wall, Leon could only jump and pull on his now much heavier shoes, hopping unsteadily towards the director's office. Upon pushing open the door, 3 scrutinizing and vigilant gazes simultaneously fell on him. "This is Leon Lane, the newcomer who joined last year in our Virgin branch. Leon, these 3 are deputy directors, here to stand guard for me at the Virgin branch, from left to right. Director Misha of the Catmount branch, Director Hoover of the Whale division, and Director Leo Oak of the Cheetah division." After briefly introducing both sides, the red-haired director discreetly winked at Leon, then smilingly added, "Sorry for calling you over late at night, but I have to leave for the main bureau at dawn. And all 3 insisted on meeting you while I'm still here. Hope you don't mind." Cheetah division, Whale division, Cat division. After glancing at the 3 deputy directors who had fairly calm expressions but a hint of wariness in their eyes, Leon slightly nodded in greeting and then proactively started the conversation. "Greetings to the 3 deputy directors. During the days when Director Olivia will not be around, we'll be relying on you 3. It's our duty. It's our duty." No problem. You're too kind. Seemingly surprised that Leon would be so easygoing, the 3 deputy directors were a bit taken aback, but quickly responded with a series of polite exchanges, and the atmosphere in the director's office instantly became harmonious. "All right, now that you've all met." After Leon's pleasantries with the 3 deputy directors, the red-haired director flashed her sly and charming fox-like eyes and smilingly said, "Then I should prepare to set off. As you know, the Sagittarius board is pushing hard, so starting a bit early is—" "Please wait a moment." Seeing that the red-haired director seemed ready to leave, a middle-aged woman from the Cat division hurriedly spoke up to stop her. "Director Olivia, besides introducing us ahead of time, there's another matter you haven't addressed." "Oh, right. There's another matter, my apologies." After offering a rather insincere apology, the red-haired director turned to Leon and explained, "It's like this, Director Misha and the others heard some unreliable rumors from the cleaner who participated in the promotion assessment last time, so they're a bit concerned about your discipline, and asked me to communicate with you in advance." Communicate? It's actually to suppress, right? Instantly understanding the meaning behind the red-haired director's words, Leon couldn't help but frown slightly but nodded and proactively assured the 3 deputy directors, "Please rest assured, I actually act very measuredly. Unless encountering very special circumstances, I won't act on impulse. In the coming half-month or so, I will conduct myself carefully and follow orders. You need not worry about such matters." Although Leon appeared a little displeased, he still responded very cooperatively without any intention to defy. The 3 deputy directors who came to support couldn't help but exchange glances and simultaneously let out a sigh of relief inwardly. The little old man from the Whale division, slightly embarrassed, then also proactively explained, "Sorry, it seems we've been overly cautious, but you understand the situation too. In the Virgin branch's jurisdiction, there are 2 royal bloodlines, likely becoming the primary target for Slaughter King Association's attack. So, to ensure the situation remains stable and controllable, we have to be extra cautious, aiming to avoid any unforeseen factors, inevitably considering more." Hehe. Understandable. Noting the deep-seated apprehension or prejudice the 3 deputy directors had towards him, Leon nodded and stopped speaking further but turned to the red-haired director and asked, "Director, aside from these 2 matters, is there anything else?" "There is one more thing." Before the red-haired director could speak, the last deputy director from the Cheetah division reached out, handing over a beast tooth necklace, and smilingly said, "This necklace is for contact. If you wear it around your neck, as long as you don't leave the royal capital too far, we can contact you anytime, and if you run into any trouble, it helps us get there quickly to provide support. So, once I put on this thing, you can monitor my location and status at all times, while I remain oblivious to you." Immediately catching on to the young man's real intentions, Leon was silent for a moment, then reached out to take the beast tooth necklace, gently stroking the dog tooth coated with patina on it. Name: Waterhound collar. Respond: attention, bind. Appearance: a somewhat ugly, ancient-styled necklace, base made from the collar of a large canine creature, adorned with a pair of crystallized canine eyes, along with 4 heavily worn enamel canine teeth. It emits a sharp bark when worn. Ability: respond to call, vision sharing, throttle eating constriction. Cost: continuous consumption of user's contamination value. File: originating from special ancient abnormal objects of waterhounds. The wearer can, like the now extinct ancient waterhounds, hear calls directed at them from very far distances. The crystallized waterhound eyes will immediately revive, sharing the surrounding vision with the caller. Moreover, as ancient waterhounds often self-servingly swallow small prey upon acquisition, to prevent such occurrences, their collars are tightly constricted, and this abnormal object inherits similar characteristics, able to prevent specific ingestion behaviors of the wearer. Evaluation: an invisible dog chain without a leash. Believe me, you wouldn't want to wear it. Contamination value: 3.5. So this so-called beast tooth necklace was actually fashioned from a dog leash? Seeing through the true nature of the beast tooth necklace, Leon's expression slightly cooled, but he didn't immediately voice a query. Instead, he looked doubtfully towards the red-haired director. What's the matter with these 3 guys? Did they come specifically to mess with me? Probably not. They indeed received orders to come and support. Then what's with the dog chain? Haven't they seen my file? How could I possibly wish to wear such a thing? They likely have seen your file, but there is a traitor in the division not yet caught, so I didn't write everything truthfully in your file. They don't fully understand your abilities. That's utterly ridiculous. How did these 3 clowns make division head? Normally, they may be cautious, keen, and talented, but not necessarily smart enough. So they insisted on calling me so you'd suppress me to voluntarily wear this thing? Clearly, that's their plan. Through an exchange of glances and scattered soul signal interactions, Leon quickly grasped the red-haired director's intentions and silently brought the black goat out from the mirror world. Hey, this won't do. Thinking Leon didn't intend to wear the beast tooth necklace himself, but rather hang it around the black goat's neck, the director from the Cheetah Division's face changed slightly. He then laughed and said, "If this is worn on another, it requires relaying. If unexpected circumstances arise, it might not react in time, slowing our support. So your mother, ha, too." With a sudden mouthful of thick spit from an old smoker's special, the informed black goat widened its eyes and, without disappointing, blasted out. "The 3 of you scoundrels. You think you're worthy of chaining me? I'm telling you, damn it, only that my thing hasn't been found yet today. Or otherwise, I'd show you why I'm your wild father." The 3 of them managed to avoid the black goat's spat-out phlegm, but they couldn't evade its barrage of curses, leaving them dumbfounded on the spot. Meanwhile, Leon eyed the red-haired director, who was grinning from ear to ear, as the goat head went on a tirade. "Is this why you called me over? Indeed, indeed. That's exactly what I meant. You really get me. Haha." Watching the 3 deputy directors bewildered by the goat head's wrath, the red-haired director took a deep breath, feeling a long-lost sense of joy. The reason he hadn't replaced the damn goat with another abnormal object, despite despising it, was this mouth of its, which was beyond useful, aside from its excellent soul vision. Whenever he was hindered by status or too embarrassed to curse the living soul out, this damn goat could scold for the whole day, costing only 2 packs of cigarettes. The cost efficiency was phenomenal. Sigh, what a shame. If it wasn't for Leon, I'd really be reluctant to part with it. As the red-haired director indulged in his long-lost joy, the 3 deputy directors snapped out of their stupor and slammed the table in furious indignation. "Shut up! You damn demon! Olivia, ma'am! Mr. Leon! Control your... Ha! PFFT, PFFT, PFFT." With the self-created skill old phlegm spewing, the black goat interrupted the angry questioning of the 3 deputy directors and continued its relentless tirade. "I was a big demon back then, acknowledged as the first demon under true God. You 3 little pipsqueaks couldn't even match a single hair on my head. Back when I wore pants, every time I went to the bathroom and looked down, I'd see thousands of your brothers. For crying out loud, the more I say, the angrier I get. How dare you try to put a dog collar on me? You deserve nothing. If it weren't for the fact that I'm now well-fed and well-rested, I'd dig up your ancestors' graves, piece them back together, and shove each one into a dog's behind. Don't ask why I'm doing this. Ask, and I'll say I'm helping your ancestors return home. You. What you? You lot can't even recognize your own fathers. How the hell have you been surviving this long? For goodness sake, were you picked up by the cleanup bureau from the sewers? Oh, Eva. Stop. Enough already. Leon reached out to cover the black goat's mouth, stemming the stream of increasingly offensive curse words, and spoke with mild regret. I'm sorry, its emotions got a bit agitated, and its words were a bit unpleasant. Please don't take offense. Unpleasant? The stuff this damned demon sprayed was pure filth. There was nothing remotely listenable. After taking a moment to calm down, the 3 deputy directors, who had almost lost their cool due to the curses, gritted their teeth and asked, if you don't want to wear the necklace, you could have told us. Why go this far? I can wear it, why not wear it? Leon replied calmly. Although the origin of this abnormal object isn't great, it is indeed a precious item, and its effects suit the current situation. I have no objections to it. Then why did you? I just think the necklace you gave me isn't efficient enough. It only allows you 3 to contact me one way, which is still too inefficient. Holding the struggling black goat firmly, Leon continued with a friendly introduction, under the shocked gazes of the 3 deputy directors. It's my pet. One of the demons I've contracted. Not only does it allow me to communicate over vast distances, but it can even easily locate my position from across the city. So, rather than wearing the necklace you gave me, I'd prefer if you 3 could keep it by your side. This way, in the event of any danger, we can quickly relay information to each other. How do you 3 feel about that? How do we feel? We don't feel good. Not at all. Watching the goat head, even with its mouth held shut by Leon, continue to use its soul to furiously curse them with non-repeating lines. The 3 deputy directors couldn't help but shiver in unison. Though this creature doesn't seem particularly strong, that foul mouth is immensely powerful. Just 5 minutes of its curses sent their blood pressure skyrocketing. If it were kept by their side for more than half a month, they'd suffer cerebral hemorrhages before the Slaughter King Association could even strike. It's a bit inappropriate, isn't it? Facing Leon's better solution, the deputy director of the Hound Bureau awkwardly spoke. This demon is a fairly strong abnormal object, and losing it would weaken your abilities. Wouldn't it be better if... No, it won't. My main combat abnormal objects are different now. They're not paired with it. Paired. Yes, paired. Under the red-haired director's strangely appreciative gaze, Leon smiled and added, It was originally fragmented into 7 pieces, and I've collected 4 of them. So not only can I hand it over to you, each of you could even carry 1 piece. God, what the heck? Each of us taking 1. Even with its mouth bound and its output reduced to 50%. This creature's soul fluctuations alone spewed insults at all 3 of them. If they faced 3 more goat heads with unbound mouths, wouldn't each of them suffer 6 times the current torment? No, we've really got no need for it. Facing the black goat's intimidation, the 3 deputy directors shook their heads in sync. The middle-aged woman from the Virgin Branch added, awkwardly, Actually, one of us specializes in speed, another in perception. Should any problem arise, we can quickly get there, so timely communication isn't that necessary. There's no need to carry this object. Really don't need it? Leon blinked at her words, gesturing to hand the black goat towards them, sincerely inviting. Though they have foul mouths, their abilities are outstanding. Are you really not considering it? No, definitely not. All right then. Putting away the black goat, which hadn't finished cursing, Leon lifted the waterhound collar in his hand and asked, Then this thing. It's yours. The Leopard Bureau's director, regretfully, waved furiously. This item was for communication. If you find it useful, keep it. Then thanks for your generosity. Tossing the Waterhound collar into the mirror world as a toy for the young Ha, Leon smiled and continued. By the way, do you have any plans for defensive measures after the director leaves? Plans? Hearing Leon's inquiry, the three deputy directors, still a bit rattled, exchanged glances before the Virgin Branch's middle-aged woman spoke. Our plan is to gather 2 royal bloodline groups and have them protect the Virgin Branch closely. Was it a prudent idea to guard it thoroughly? It seemed a sound strategy. Nodding in approval, Leon pursued further. Then what about me? What task do you have assigned for me? Your task is to remain in the royal palace. The middle-aged woman of the Virgin Branch explained. The princess needs to maintain the kingdom's operations. We can't confine her to the Virgin Branch as well. So your task is to stay close for protection 24/7 over the next half-month. Night, Royal Capital, Canal. Click. With the crisp sound of the mechanism resetting, the young man resting on a bench outside the dock of the inner canal opened his eyes, gazing intently at the giant compass he held in his arms. Unlike other compasses used for surveying directions, this dark blue peculiar compass had 6 movable rings, including the magnetic needle suspended by a thread under the central glass cover. It was divided into 7 layers from inside to outside. As the click sound of the mechanism resetting just occurred, all the rings on this dark blue compass were locked. The central magnetic needle, which used to remain motionless, began to deflect with the locking of the outer 6 rings, eventually pointing in the direction of the royal palace. The 6 elements have all been achieved. Observing the state of the dark blue compass and squinting in the direction of the palace following the magnetic needle, a satisfied smile appeared on the face of the young man dressed in a blue robe. Timing, conditions, people, target, ability, myself. To push the central needle of the prayer wheel towards the target, it requires locking 3 inner and 3 outer rings, a total of 6 rings. He had worked for nearly a century for this, finally seizing the opportunity of the cleanup bureau's vacancy, achieving the necessary conditions to complete the goal, and arranging the unavoidable key person, thus locking the 3 external rings of the prayer wheel. For the remaining internal 3 rings, whether it's the goal worth sacrificing everything for, the ability required to achieve this goal, or the willingness to burn everything to reach the end, he never lacked them. Thus, all 6 elements needed to activate the prayer will have now been gathered, which also means that what he intends to do will ultimately succeed, and no one will be able to stop him. Wow! As if resonating with his surging emotions at the moment, a turbulent wave suddenly arose in the canal before the young man. Despite the absence of wind, it caused the ships in the river to sway left and right. Due to the fact that the inner channel of the canal in the royal capital is always calm, almost never experiencing any wind or waves, and coupled with the fact that it is night, the sailors were already lacking vigilance. The rocking ships immediately prompted waves of exclamations. Amidst these exclamations, strands of chaotic and bizarre auras simultaneously converged out of thin air, quietly concentrating under the night sky before landing quietly on the bench beside the Aquarius director. Surely this world is the best. Gazing at the sailors desperately trying to stabilize their ships on the canal, the man in a black robe wearing a raven mask closed his eyes in full intoxication, took a deep breath of the chaotic and intense air, then turned to thank the Aquarius director beside him. I truly owe you this time. If it weren't for your skills, I don't know how much longer I would have had to wait to physically descend into this world again. No need to be so polite. Glancing at the lit-up, condition ring on the wheel, the Aquarius director smiled and gently replied, I've researched the Watcher's Palace for decades. Although I've never been able to climb up to observe it up close, I have gained some insights. Tearing a few small holes temporarily wasn't too hard. Hey, you see, there you go being modest again, huh? Dongya masked man, while full of killing intent, seemed unexpectedly to have a friendly acquaintance type of personality. In response to the Aquarius director's modesty, he laughed and said, You've only been studying the Watcher's Palace for a few decades. I've been blocked outside by this for over 1,000 years. Over these 1,000 years, Let alone a hole. I haven't even found a crack. Every time I tried to come in, I nearly got skinned alive. We're far inferior to you. You flatter me too much. I'm only benefiting from my status, being able to access the internal records of the Cleanup Bureau, plus mastering the creation mystique that created the Watcher's Palace. Otherwise, I'd be equally helpless against it. After exchanging a round of insincere commercial flattery with the raven-masked man, the Aquarius director released his grip on the prayer wheel, sending this peculiar will back into the void, then inviting. So next, please act according to our agreement. Sure thing. Without hesitation, the raven-masked man responded and then got up and started walking towards the direction of the palace. However, halfway there, he seemed to remember something and suddenly turned back with a smile, casually making a slight lift of his hand towards the chaos at the docks. Creak, crack. With the action of the raven-masked man, a rough, ear-piercing sound of steel cracking immediately echoed from the dock structure. It was hard to tell what had happened, as the seemingly sturdy shipping dock suddenly appeared to have weathered decades of wind and frost, deteriorating beyond recognition. The buildings atop swayed, seemingly on the verge of toppling over. In the direction where the docks were about to fall, a group of sailors desperately turning the winch widened their eyes in terror, watching in despair as a massive shadow appeared ready to crash down on them. How about not doing that? Amidst gentle persuasion, a small golden knife silently swiped through, causing the raven-masked man's right hand, which was emitting a strange black vapor, to retreat backwards to its position before raising. Simultaneously, the swaying scaffolding on the dock, despite breaking nearly half of its guardrails due to its weight, managed to halt just before complete collapse, not truly crashing down. Aquarius! Looking at the hand that had been slashed, as the pocket watch on the hand began rotating, the raven-masked man's face slightly tightened, and with some dark expression, he questioned, "What do you mean by this?" "Nothing much. Just don't want unnecessary trouble." Not seeming to sense the hostility expressed by the raven-masked man, the Aquarius director calmly explained, "After all, this is the Virgin Branch's jurisdiction. Causing such a big commotion suddenly could attract. What are you afraid of?" The raven-masked man clicked his tongue upon hearing this, then puffed his chest slightly, saying, "The authority of disaster I wield won't leave traces. Even if the Cleanup Bureau investigates later, they'll only think it was a disaster caused by the dock's age and disrepair. Moreover, the Scarlet Hair Lady has already left, and the remaining people in the Virgin Branch haven't crossed the difference between man and God, making them completely negligible. If it weren't for the timing not being quite right, I alone could wipe them all out." Nodding in response, the Aquarius director smiled and said, "I don't deny that. Wielding both the authorities of chaos and disaster, you stand strong even among the true God, capable of destroying the Virgin Branch. But haven't you forgotten someone?" "Did I forget someone?" Upon hearing the words from the Aquarius director, the raven-masked man's expression momentarily froze, then his eyes widened suddenly. "That Leon is still at the Virgin Branch? Didn't you say you'd definitely hold him off, keep him in the dream realm for at least half a year?" "You misremembered. What I said was not definitely hold him off, but rather to see if we could hold him off." After correcting the raven-masked man's statement, the Aquarius director sighed softly, then explained somewhat helplessly, "Regarding this matter, I've been doing my best. According to my plan, even if he withstands the siege of 1,000,000 nightmares, it will be difficult for him to resist the King of Nightmares with the geographical advantage. He would most likely just barely hold on. In the end, either he would be completely eroded by the King of Nightmares, or he would be forced to unite with the newly born King of Nightmares. Even in the worst-case scenario, he would be corrupted in his battle with the King of Nightmares, becoming half a dream realm creature, unable to return for a while. But he pulled out a strange card I had never seen before, chasing the newly born King of Nightmares, devouring the entirety of the demonic soul abyss, wreaking havoc across the entire 21st layer of the dream realm, and nearly leaving me behind. Escaping back already counts as extraordinary performance. Isn't this outrageous? In any case, we will probably still have to face him next, and there's no such thing as being too careful with such an unpredictable adversary. Seeing the silent raven masked man, the Aquarius director smiled and summed up. Although you are the god of calamity and chaos, you may not be able to surpass him in creating chaos and disaster. In every sense, he's your nemesis. And his mind isn't bad either. If you let slip any flaws because of a moment of carelessness and get discovered, our plan will fall apart. So from now on, until Taurus starts the ascension over these next 2 weeks, I hope you can restrain yourself as much as possible and not create chaos at random. Okay, I can do that, but are you just going to let it slide? After holding back for a moment, the raven-masked man asked angrily. Even if he can defeat the King of Nightmares, he can't possibly be your match. If you could seize the opportunity to ambush him, Lord God of Calamity, it's better not to say such meaningless words in the future. Interrupting the raven-masked man's questioning, the Aquarius director's voice grew slightly cold. Although during this promotion assessment, your Slaughter King Association's informants contributed a lot to help me locate Sagittarius' true form, in the end, the one who took the risky action was only me. And although I couldn't achieve a kill, I temporarily incapacitated both Pisces and Sagittarius directors, forcing the cleanup bureau to retreat and giving you plenty of room. No matter how you calculate, you owe me. Furthermore, if I abandon the original target to ambush Leon, are you prepared to face Pisces Director's Bubble Shadow Cove? Or do you plan to expend your lives against Sagittarius Director's Enhancement Secret Technique? I'm not asking you to abandon the original plan. Facing the reasonable questioning from the Aquarius Director, the raven-masked man's momentum immediately faltered, but he tried hard to contend. I meant to say that Leon is ultimately not the true god, and you can definitely do something like leave some methods on him at leisure or find common human weaknesses. We can definitely target his family. You should really give up on that idea. Hearing this, the Aquarius director's expression grew slightly cold. Then squinting, he warned, "Listen carefully, if you want to take action against Leon, I won't stop you, and I can even provide all the support short of direct action. But if you prepare to do that, then I will terminate our cooperation with the Slaughter King Association, and even find a way to contact the Cleanup Bureau to call them over to get rid of you." What the? Are you out of your mind? I'm your teammate, alright? Facing the bizarre proclamation from the Aquarius director to protect Leon's family at all costs, the raven-masked man was utterly broken, veins bulging on his temple as he yelled, "Aquarius! Whose side are you on?" "You! I already tried your suggestion, and it's not just once." "Ah?" Under the bewildered look of the raven-masked man, the Aquarius director, with a frown, said, "I can't tell you the specifics, but in simple terms, I have a way to glimpse a bit of the future. By checking before making a decision, I can see part of the consequences of that choice. Before, I was able to take down Pisces and Sagittarius in one go because of him trying again and again. And before I took action against Leon's family, I used this method to peek into the future a few times. But no matter how I did it, the results I got in the end were very, very bad." When you say very bad, what exactly do you mean? "The most thorough destruction." "Ah, the specific situation involves part of the future, so I can't tell you directly what happened, only a general idea." Recalling the fragmented, barren world seen from the memory of middle-aged Joshua, and the terrifying figure in the empty realm of the dead gazing intently at him, the Aquarius director's cheek twitched twice, then said with a slightly greenish face, "In short, I did succeed directly using this method to kill him, but the problem was that his death was just the beginning, and the end result was unacceptable to everyone. All right, let's get moving." Preventing the raven-masked man from further questioning, the Aquarius director glanced at the sky, then urged, "It's already late at night, the target should be sound asleep. We have less than 4 hours until dawn, and we must secretly send the King of Nightmares into her dream before daybreak." "All right." Faced with such a cryptic explanation, the raven-masked man naturally wouldn't be satisfied, but the naked killing intent when Aquarius warned him just now was genuine, so he had no choice but to accept the outcome for now. Seeing that he didn't object anymore, The Aquarius director flipped his wrist, taking out an intricately designed glass lantern, gently shaking it towards the night enveloping the royal capital. Swoosh! As the dream-wandering lantern swayed, the starry night sky above the royal capital gradually faded, replaced by a dark and thick black rain cloud. A large amount of slightly sorrowful rain fell steadily from the clouds. So this thing in the lantern, is this the king of nightmares that Aquarius brought back from the dream realm? Through the lantern's glass covering of the dream-wandering lantern, after observing Leon impaled on the wick, angrily roaring outwards, the raven-masked man asked skeptically, "Is this thing? Can it really work?" "That's enough." After glancing at Nightmare Leon inside the dream-wandering lantern, the Aquarius director continued to hold the lantern while searching for the target dream realm, replying calmly, "If it were just the king of nightmares alone, it might indeed not achieve the effect I want. But it previously devoured countless dream realm creatures. Even though it's lacking in quality, its quantity has already reached the threshold of pillar god level." Pillar god level. This, after hearing the response from the Aquarius director, the raven-masked man's expression tightened involuntarily, gazing at Nightmare Leon with a hint of fear and apprehension in his eyes. Even though battles beyond the true god level emphasize differences in quality, compared to merely the strength of power, one's status and mastery of authority often become the decisive factors. But this doesn't mean quantity is completely meaningless. The most obvious example is the Scarlet Hair Lady. Although her understanding of authority is quite poor, ranking as second-rate even among typical true gods, the sheer number of over 1 billion slaughter blood hair she can unleash is sufficient to make any being below the pillar gods tremble with fear. As for this seemingly low-status king of nightmares, who has just barely reached the true god threshold, considering it has consumed so many dream realm creatures, it might be able to exhaust its current self with just 2 accompanying divine artifacts. Then make sure to keep a close watch on it. After evaluating his overall strength compared to Nightmare Leon and realizing he might not be able to handle this object, the raven-masked man's face fell, and he muttered while following behind the Aquarius director, "Even with the passage you opened, sending down even this amount of power required a considerable cost. If this creature manages to escape, I won't be able to handle it. Don't worry, it's perfectly safe now." Facing the raven-masked man's somewhat dispirited remark, the Aquarius director replied without looking back. The Sagittarius director was quite heavy-handed before, directly creating a hole in its very existence. Before it dies and resurrects once more, that hole will persist. Now, no matter how much power it has, it'll continuously leak out through this hole, channeling into the dream-wandering lantern, becoming my tool to guide the demonic soul abyss. Found it! Accompanied by a soft call from the Aquarius director, like Moses parting the sea. Under the strange rain curtain, various dream realms spread open like water ripples, revealing a cluster of sweet, pale pink dreams instantly. Meanwhile, inside the dream-wandering lantern, Nightmare Leon halted, his eyes fixed on the pale pink dream realm, displaying an exceptionally disgusted expression. "Is that the dream realm of the human you're seeking? Can her dream truly bear the king of nightmares?" "It can." Having successfully found the target, the Aquarius director nodded upon hearing Leon, then observed Nightmare Leon's expression with satisfaction and spoke. "According to the Cleanup Bureau's secretary record, among the ancestors of this kingdom's royal family, someone once joined the Cleanup Bureau as a cleaner, successfully driving away the king of nightmares several times, and thus fell under the king's curse. As they age, each direct descendant of the royal family begins to frequently fall into nightmares, endlessly reliving the most regretful past experiences of their lives in their dreams, with the nightmares becoming more frequent and real as they age. After hundreds of years of nightmares, the compatibility between this bloodline and the king of nightmares has become excellently integrated, fully capable of bearing the king's power as a focal point for pulling the demonic soul abyss. Alright then, since it's your plan, if you believe it can work, just proceed accordingly. Having received confirmation from the Aquarius director, the raven-masked man nodded indifferently before following behind, moving towards the small, pale pink dream. As the two gradually approached, The scenes within the pink dream realm began to reveal themselves under the illumination of the lantern. You look truly beautiful today. A male human, facing away from them, holding a large bouquet of blooming roses, knelt on one knee in front of Princess Veronica, speaking softly and full of affection. Actually, from the first time I saw you, I felt a peculiar sensation in my heart that you are my lifelong partner. How did you return? Faced with the man's passionate proposal, the princess, dressed in a nightgown, seemed to have just awakened from sleep, speaking somewhat incoherently. Leon, didn't you have something very important to handle? Why are you here now? What on earth could be more important than you? With astonishment written on their faces, the two holding the roses stood up, presenting the dew-dripping roses to the princess, speaking with full affection. Veronica, my beloved, accept this bouquet of roses and agree to my proposal. What is going on here? Why is he appearing in this woman's dream? Seeing the man with the exact same face as Nightmare Leon, the raven-masked man's lips twitched involuntarily, then glancing at the Aquarius director with questioning eyes. I remember you mentioning before that targeting Leon's family might lead to catastrophic consequences. So what about this situation? Does she count as one of the untouchables? Is our plan still proceeding? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure right now. Faced with the raven-masked man's probing gaze, the Aquarius director pondered for a moment before speaking hesitantly. I haven't tested targeting her before, so I'm unclear about the potential results, but before deciding to act, I attempted to peer into the future several times, and the results were favorable. The results were favorable. Does that mean you successfully completed the plan, and we managed to escape unharmed? I'm uncertain about that. The Aquarius director looked at him upon hearing this, then frowned and explained. My method of peering into the future involves temporarily sending a person to the future, through their experiences to indirectly glimpse some future events, with several additional limitations. For instance, I cannot spy on beings above the true God level, and cannot fully confirm the authenticity of these experiences. If that future person encountered false information, I would receive false information too. So I'm still not sure. Stop with the nonsense. Seeing Leon continuously proposing in the dream, with flirtatious words one after another, the raven-masked man pushed impatiently. I don't want to hear this rubbish. Just tell me if targeting her is safe. It's still relatively safe. In the future that Joshua saw, at least the world hadn't been completely destroyed. That should mean it's safe, but whether or not you survive in the end, I'm not too sure. If it's safe, then let's get started. The raven-masked man, unaware that the Aquarius director's definition of safe might be a bit one-sided, faintly sensed an indescribable aura of chaos from the small dream realm in front of him. It seemed like just participating could successfully stir up a storm, so he had been impatient for a while now. Having received the safe judgment from the Aquarius director, the eager raven-masked man immediately reached out and snatched the dream-wandering lantern, preparing to take the Nightmare Leon into the dream realm before them. However, wait a minute. Just as the dream-wandering lantern touched the pink outer wall of the dream, darkening a tiny edge of this sweet dream, and was about to begin the invasion, the raven-masked man was suddenly pulled back. Hold on. Someone's coming. ? Seriously? You think I'll die if you don't stop me? The raven-masked man, pulled back, turned angrily toward the Aquarius director. Afraid of someone coming? We're inside a dream, and with my chaos concealing our presence, how could we be discovered? Besides, with your skill and mine, even if 2 Yellow Road directors came, it wouldn't be impossible to… What the hell? Seeing the soul rapidly approaching in the night, wrapped in chaos and calamity, the raven-masked man was startled but then suddenly beamed with delight. Perfect. This is a heaven-sent opportunity. This damned guy had ruined the Slaughter King Association's plans several times already, and now he's delivered himself directly to us. With the Aquarius director right beside me now, if we ambush him together, no matter what cards he has up his sleeve, he's doomed. Quick! Get ready! Excitedly faced with this godsend of an opportunity, the raven-masked man immediately prepared to take action. Half of his body dissolved, losing its original form as it headed toward Leon. However, just as he was about to leave the range of the lantern's light, the watch mark on the back of his hand suddenly reversed a little counterclockwise, causing his forward motion to involuntarily retreat instantly, bringing him back to the Aquarius director's side. Aquarius! You! Wait a moment! After stabbing the raven-masked man to forcibly keep him in check, the Aquarius director, hidden in the dark aura of the dream-wandering lantern, squinted towards Leon. Don't act yet. Something's not right. Something's not right? The raven-masked man was slightly stunned when he heard this, then immediately mobilized Chaos Authority to reinforce the concealment of himself and the Aquarius director, and began searching for any possible ambushes. However, no matter how hard he looked, he found nothing strange, no sign of any ambush at all. Leon didn't look like he'd discovered the two of them either. Aquarius, are you sure you're not mistaken? I'm not mistaken. There's definitely a problem. Narrowing his eyes as he gazed at the rapidly approaching Leon, the Aquarius director said, frowning, Raven, there's probably a traitor within your Slaughter King Association. Huh? A traitor? Shocked and confused by the Aquarius director's seemingly unfounded assertion, the raven-masked man couldn't help but ask, why do you say that? Look at his arm. His arm? The raven-masked man looked over skeptically but saw nothing unusual no matter how hard he tried, compelling him to question further. What's wrong with his arm? There doesn't seem to be anything. The leaf in his sleeve is number 039, specifically used for hiding people, the parasitic oak, and it seems it's been enhanced by the Sagittarius director, strong enough to hide a self-sealing pillar god. Seeing the two pin-shaped, pale green young leaves sprouting from Leon's wrist veins, along with the small bright red fruit hanging between the leaves, the Aquarius director's expression darkened immensely. Raven, who all have you told about my plan? Ah! Speak! Noticing a faint ticking sound emanating from the knife stuck in his body, the raven-masked man was alarmed and immediately answered. Including you and me, only 6 people are aware of the specific details of the plan. Besides us, there's White Snake, Black Cat, Bone Whale, and Batwing. We can temporarily rule out White Snake, but among the remaining 3, at least one is a traitor. After making his judgment, the Aquarius director spoke with an unpleasant expression. The Scarlet Hair Lady hasn't left at all. She must be hiding in Leon's sleeve within the parasitic oak, which means my plan has been leaked in advance. Leon, you smell so good. As the Aquarius director and the raven-masked man were observing the situation, suspiciously on guard, a slightly intoxicated thought traveled through the veins in his wrist and into his brain. Like discovering a new world, the red-haired director, sitting inside the parasitic oak pine cone, took a deep breath of the rich aroma permeating from the stems and spoke with some uncontrollable desire. Your blood is filled with the scent of alcohol. Just getting a whiff of it has made me a little tipsy. Can you let me have a sip? Just a small sip will do. Leon, busy scaling the wall, could only grimace at these words. No way. Indeed, there is plenty of alcohol in my blood, but that's to quickly activate the immortal in liquor at critical moments so I don't get killed without invincibility. It's not for you to drink. TCH. After having the request for a small sip flatly refused, the red-haired director, hidden inside the parasitic oak cone, pursed her lips and started flipping through a magazine with a bored expression. Stingy guy, I'm now as small as a mosquito. What's the harm in letting me take a sip? Besides, you don't actually think that if you don't allow it, I won't manage to drink, right? The parasitic oak can absorb the nutrients of its host. Even without your consent, I can still sneak a sip. But secretly drinking someone else's blood is kind of gross, even if it's Leon. Never mind, I'll hold out a little longer. I'm only 10 days away from storming the palace, and then I'll be sure to drink to my heart's content. By the way, director, just as the red-haired director was silently contemplating Leon, having evaded the guards and climbed into the palace, headed towards Princess Veronica's bedroom, inquiring through the stem connected to his wrist. How's the investigation by the headquarters into why the Aquarius director is planning to attack our Virgo branch? The progress of the investigation at headquarters. Well, they're looking into it, but when they'll manage to find anything useful is another story. The red-haired director put down the magazine, sighed softly, and said, "It'll probably be as long as it takes for your wedding, so it'll definitely be next month." Next month? What good is finding out next month? By then it will be too late. Also, you knew about my wedding? Why didn't you remind me earlier? Leon, thoroughly speechless after being hit twice by the red-haired director's words, simply closed his mouth, bypassed the patrolling guards, climbed up the outer wall of the palace, and pushed open the window to the princess' bedroom. Tsk tisk. Watching Leon nimbly slip into the princess' bedroom, the red-haired director inside the parasitic oak's cone couldn't help but smirk. You're quite familiar with the layout of the palace, huh? Seems like you've been here quite often. Too lazy to respond to the red-haired director's sarcastic remarks, Leon closed the princess' bedroom window behind him, then quietly walked to the sofa in the room, pulled out a mattress from the mirror world, and spread it out. According to the arrangement by the 3 deputy directors, he would be serving as Veronica's guard for the next 10 days, and it would be a non-stop 24-hour duty, so the leather sofa here would probably be his bed for the coming days. Even though it's just a sofa and is a bit narrow to lie on, it seems even softer than his bed at home, so it should be quite comfortable to sleep on. After testing the softness of the sofa, Leon nodded in satisfaction, picked up a pillow from the carpet to use as a cushion, lay down comfortably, and closed his eyes with peace of mind. After devouring an ordeal in the promotion assessment, my contamination value had already surpassed the 20-point mark, swiftly heading towards 30. In theory, even if I don't sleep for the next 10 days, my body could handle it. But even if the body can endure it, having the mind on constant edge for 10 days would definitely leave one in a terrible state, so it's best to rest whenever possible, take it easy and slack off a bit. Anyway, with the director sitting inside the parasitic oak, there's no need for her to sleep and she's on night watch next to me. Whether I'm awake or not makes no difference. If anything happens, she can handle it directly. As for the princess over there, it's best not to disturb her rest this late at night. After all, she seems to have a lot to do tomorrow, so it's better to explain the situation to her in the morning. Yeah, that's it. It's definitely not because I'm afraid she'd harass me if she wakes up. With the mindset of letting taller people hold up the sky, Leon, with his eyes closed, soon fell into a peaceful sleep, leaving behind only 2 faint breathing sounds in the room. He actually fell asleep, listening to Leon's increasingly deep breaths. The red-haired director inside the cone clicked her tongue in disbelief, then pulled out a blanket and spread it out, lying down on her side, flipping through the magazine she brought with a bored expression. No, so you're resting, but what about us? Looking at Leon sound asleep on the sofa, the Aquarius director and raven-masked man hiding behind the dream-wandering lantern seemed somewhat at a loss. Theoretically, in such an unguarded state, even if Leon had an undying body, the 2 of us could easily take him down. But what then after taking him down? Residing within the jurisdiction of the Virgin Branch and empowered by the Star Palace, the Scarlet Hair Lady is undoubtedly a pillar god-level powerhouse. As soon as she discovers our existence, we would face relentless extermination by over 1 billion slaughter blood hair. If we encountered the Scarlet Hair Lady elsewhere, even if we were not her match, we could at least have a chance of retreating safely, but if she catches us at such close range, we're doomed. What's even more critical is that injecting the King of Nightmares into the dream of Princess Veronica would surely cause a considerable commotion, almost certain to be discovered by the Scarlet Hair Lady, making it impossible for the original plan to proceed. So what do we do now? Throwing a probing glance at the Aquarius director, the raven-masked man tentatively asked in a low voice, "Should we retreat for now?" "We can't retreat." With a somewhat grim expression, the Aquarius director shook his head, refusing. Although Olivia isn't skilled at detection, she's very sensitive to unusual fluctuations around her. The reason we haven't been discovered yet is not only due to your and the Dream-Wandering Lantern's dual concealment, but also because we arrived first and the Dream-Wandering Lantern has stabilized without significant fluctuations. Now, as my plan has been disclosed by the traitor from your Slaughter King Association, she will likely be guarding this place. If we retreat now, we may never have another chance to get close. So, you're not seriously considering brute force, are you? After glancing at the Aquarius director's indecisive face, the raven-masked man immediately tensed up, worried he might recklessly choose a radical approach, and hastily objected. Wait a minute. It might not be that bad. We can totally withdraw first, call in some help through the opening you created, and then forge a dummy of yourself. Once news of your attack on the Virgin Branch reaches, the Scarlet Hair Lady would definitely rush over to assist. Wouldn't that leave an opportunity to act here? After hearing the raven-masked man's tiger removal from the mountain plan, the Aquarius director glanced at him, then coldly retorted. Dongya, do you believe in what you just said? Why wouldn't I? If the cleanup bureau has another ambush, what if the Scarlet Hair Lady doesn't go to assist? What if she takes the princess along during her support? And what if even if she leaves the princess behind, the princess doesn't dream during that gap? Don't think about it. The only chance now is to act directly and forcefully push the plan. Are you crazy? Seeing that the Aquarius director actually intended to go through with it, the raven-masked man started to feel numb and angrily said, The Scarlet Hair Lady isn't blind. How could she not notice such a huge commotion? Then, don't worry, when the time comes, she may not have any energy to spare for us. Narrowing his eyes and looking at Leon asleep on the sofa, the Aquarius director slowly raised the dream-wandering lantern in his hand. His voice slightly ethereal as he reminded. Look, he's about to start dreaming too. Him? That Leon? Seeing Leon sleeping with a small blanket over his navel and a foolish expression, the raven-masked man confusedly asked. He's about to dream, but what can that do? Of course it's useful, and significantly so. After removing the lampshade of the dream-wandering lantern and taking out the wick bound with Leon's nightmare, the Aquarius director's eyes burned with enthusiasm as he explained. Within the princess dream is him. As long as you use the Chaos Authority to do a little manipulation, we can merge the two dreams and, without alerting the Scarlet Hair Lady, send him into the princess dream. And the newly born King of Nightmares is a nightmare born from Leon, essentially his reflection in the dream realm. So with a slight push, we can merge the two Leons into one and send the King of Nightmares into the princess dream. Let me invoke the Chaos Authority, first confuse the two dreams into one, then confuse the two Leons into one, and then directly send the King of Nightmares into the princess's dream. After listening to the Aquarius director's insane plan, the raven-masked man couldn't help but shake his head wildly and said, No way. I won't do it. Your plan is completely unreliable. If there's even the slightest mistake in this process, and the Scarlet Hair Lady finds out, we're doomed. Listen to me. Let's slowly retreat. I can. You will do it. Interrupting the raven-masked man, the serene-looking Aquarius director decisively threatened. If you follow my instructions, we might still bet on the Scarlet Hair Lady not discovering us. But if you don't cooperate, I will immediately lift the concealment of the dream-wandering lantern and take out Leon, letting you face the enraged Scarlet Hair Lady directly. What? You're pulling this trick again? Faced with the Aquarius director's threat, the raven-masked man couldn't hold back, furrowing his brows and angrily shouting, Aquarius! You're too much. Whether it's too much doesn't matter, as long as it works. After glancing at the moon that had already fallen below the horizon, the Aquarius director lifted the dream-wandering lantern in his hand, urging, Raven, we don't have much time left. You'd better make your choice quickly. I'm not choosing. The raven-masked man yelled angrily. I truly don't believe it. If you dare to withdraw that broken lantern, face the Scarlet Hair Lady directly, then you'll die together with me. I won't. Do you remember when you first descended? Pointing to the raven-masked man's hand, signaling him to look at the markings of a pocket watch on it. The Aquarius director calmly replied, "When you were about to destroy the dock, I once cut you with a knife, and apart from stopping your rampage, I also took away around 3 seconds of your time. If I wish, I can attach this 3 seconds back at any time, sending myself back to the port where you descended. This kind of rewind in time is almost unstoppable. Even the Scarlet Hair Lady can't stop me, and the only one who will get killed by her is you. Damn! You prepared for this with that knife back then. Raven, you need to make a choice." Ignoring the raven-masked man's shouted question, the Aquarius director shook the lantern in his hand, gently reminding, "Now you either listen to me, gamble on whether you will be discovered, or face the enraged Scarlet Hair Lady alone. This choice isn't hard, right? I'm still a true god, and you're threatening me? So are you doing it? Or not?" "I'll do it." In the voice of a certain unlucky true god who answered with double meaning, the dream-wandering lantern in Aquarius director's hand slightly swayed twice, and under a small influx of chaotic and messy breath, a pink and a white dream realm silently fused together. "Brother, try this." Spearing a slice of an omelet drizzled with vinaigrette, holding it in hand and handing it to Leon, Anna eagerly asked, "I specifically learned this from Aunt Mary, added a little bit of sugar in it. How does it taste?" "Good, good." Sitting cross-legged on the grass in the park, chewing on the fresh and slightly sour omelet, Leon's mood was indescribably good, and he couldn't help but raise his hand and give Anna a big thumbs up. "My sister's culinary skills are the best in the world. Wow, it's so delicious. I'm almost swallowing my tongue." "That's exaggerated." Faced with Leon's exaggerated praise, the slender girl couldn't help but blush, playfully pushing Leon lightly. "Be quieter. Don't let anyone hear. It's a bit embarrassing." "Who cares? If anyone hears, so be it." Leon waved his large hand, directly ignoring the faceless pedestrians around, boasting loudly, "No matter who hears it, Anna's culinary skills are the best." Gee! Seeing Leon not only failing to restrain himself but also having a tendency for attention-seeking, Anna couldn't handle it, immediately spearing a small cut sandwich and forcefully stuffing it into Leon's mouth, blushing with a touch of annoyance. "Eat properly. No more nonsense." I'll speak no more." After firmly asserting his dignity as an elder brother, Leon swallowed the soft sandwich in his mouth, glanced around curiously, then asked with curiosity, "Why is it so quiet today? Where are Melanie and the others?" "Emma is taking care of them." Brushing off the crumbs on Leon's knee, handing over a slightly faded napkin, Anna softly replied, "The circus has a clown show today. Melanie clamored to watch it, and little Ellie also wanted to go a bit. I couldn't persuade them, so I asked Emma for help." "Oh, that's why, no wonder." Still within the dream realm, Leon unquestioningly accepted this flawed explanation, then immediately forgot about the ongoing picnic, excitedly stood up from the grass, and extended his hand to a surprised Anna. "Come on. The clown show is quite interesting. Let's go see it too." "Huh. Come on. Come on." Pulling Anna up from the grass, Leon subconsciously walked towards the distant big tent, enthusiastically saying, "By the way, Anna, talking about clown performances, when I was in the Kralik Kingdom, I once watched a clown's show, where he wiped out his entire family. Do you think that's interesting?" "Huh? Is that interesting?" Well, speaking like that, it seems it isn't that interesting. Strange, I thought it was quite interesting back then. But now, whatever, never mind." Puzzled, scratching the back of his head, realizing they had arrived at the circus tent, Leon temporarily put aside this issue, crouched down and lifted the edge of the tent, eagerly pulling the somewhat helpless Anna inside. "Hurry, hurry. The clown show seems to have started." However, just as Leon pulled Anna into the circus tent, the cheering and laughter heard outside suddenly disappeared for some unknown reason, and as Leon rubbed his eyes in confusion, even the circus tent vanished, replaced by a familiar bedroom and a figure kneeling with one knee, offering a ring with deep affection towards Princess Veronica. "My dearest Veronica, All the stars in the world combined can't outshine your eyes, and even the most expressive brush can't capture 1 in 10,000 of your grace. As Leon blankly stared at everything in front of him, his eyes suddenly blurred slightly. The familiar figure disappeared, replaced by himself, holding a ring, gently humming with a syrupy sweet voice that could make one sick, his face full of infatuated sweetness. Beloved Veronica, I genuinely want to pray to the night sky, that this eternal night grants me 1,000 eyes to solely admire you. No, what the hell is this? Wasn't I here to watch a circus? While Louis Thousand Eye Monster On was holding the ring, looking utterly confused and feeling that something was amiss, the princess on the big bed held a round fan, demurely covering her blushing face, and then said with shyness in her eyes, "This time, there's more sincerity than before, but it's still a bit lacking. You haven't completely moved me. If you want to come up, you still... Where are you going? Come back. Something's wrong. Everything's wrong." After throwing the ring to the princess, Leon, who had somehow changed into a fitted tuxedo, stood up from the carpet with a start, looking around vigilantly. This place looks like Veronica's bedroom, but it also has many differences from the room he remembers. The desk and filing cabinet originally placed at the center of the room, occupying the largest space, had been moved to the northeast corner, replaced by an exquisite 6-panel screen. On the row of camphor-wood clothes racks behind the screen, not only were Veronica's clothes hanging, but also several sets of exquisitely tailored men's clothes, which looked like they perfectly matched his size and stature, and all the life necessities had also been doubled. So, is this what's supposed to happen after getting married next month? Wait a minute, isn't the wedding next month? What am I doing here now? Why am I here? How did I get here? And before this, wasn't I preparing to do something? Already starting to doubt? Seeing Leon's eyes filled with perplexity and his clothing starting to subtly change, the Aquarius director frowned. The dream realm is a world stripped of reason and common sense, completely free of all restraints, left entirely to instinct and the subconscious. In the dream realm, one's cognitive abilities are weakened to the limit, making it very difficult to realize any logical issues. With the added suppression of Dongya's chaos authority, given Leon's level 2 cleaner level of willpower and soul, he should have been completely swept away by the dream realm, unable to spot any issues at all. But now, Leon was not accepting his identity in the dream. Instead, he was actively thinking about it, even faintly doubting the rationality of this dream realm. If left unchecked, he might soon break free from the dream. Dongya! After calling out, the Aquarius director urged in dissatisfaction. You're a true god, aren't you? How come you can't even suppress the consciousness of a level 2 cleaner? Hurry up and suppress his thoughts. He's about to realize it's a dream. You're easy for you to say from over there, isn't it? Facing the Aquarius director's dissatisfaction, the raven-masked man's teeth almost shattered. I'd like to intensify it, but the problem is that the scarlet hair lady is right by my side. If she notices anything wrong, you can just walk away easily. But I'd probably end up being skinned alive. Hurry! We absolutely cannot let them realize it's a dream, or I'll take action myself. You damn. Just wait. I'm doing it. After sneering at the Aquarius director, the raven-masked man, who had his lifeline caught, could only silently curse the Aquarius director's ancestors while holding back his anger and increasing the intensity, reaching out towards the furrowed-browed Leon within the dream realm. Caw! Caw! With 2 slightly hoarse caws, the raven-masked man's outstretched arms suddenly split open, transforming into several glossy black raven birds. His 5 fingernails grew and curved, becoming hard and slender golden-yellow beaks, and pea-sized round scars on the sides of his fingers turned into 5 pairs of dark pupils embedded like jewels on the sides of the raven birds' heads, staring intently at the raven-masked man. Go! Go! Caw! Missing his right hand, the raven-masked man shouted twice, and these bizarrely shaped ravens flew away from him, shrieking and flapping their wings vigorously, veering into the dream realm ahead like swallows returning to their nest. At the same time, the Princess Veronica, wearing a man's shirt, hurriedly got off the bed, holding Leon's arm with a worried expression. Darling, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling unwell? Feeling a tingling in his arm squeezed by the princess's call. Leon shivered slightly and said seriously, "Wait a moment before shouting. I feel something's not right now. This might be a caw." Just as Leon was about to share his judgment, the 5 ravens rushed into the dream realm but lacked a corporeal body, silently shrieking as they hit his back, then seeped into his body as if diving into water. Upon entering Leon's body successfully, these disordered winged ravens unhesitatingly rushed into the depths of his heart. Numerous dark wings intertwined, forming a small ink-black firmament, forcibly suppressing the newfound clarity in Leon's mind. This could be a what again? With both his thinking and words stuck, Leon turned to the Princess Veronica, miserably asking, "That thing ordinary people often do at night which slightly affects sleep quality, what is it again?" "Oh my!" Upon hearing Leon's question, the Princess Veronica blushed and couldn't help pinching his side gently. "You're so naughty." Naughty about what? What's wrong with my question? Okay, so immature. Can't I just say it? Seeing Leon still pretending, Veronica bit her lip, her face flushed, softly saying, "You're talking about some intimate little fun between us as a couple." Continue. Hold on a moment. No, I mean, that's not what I wanted to say. Taking a sharp breath subconsciously, Leon shook his head quickly. What I'm talking about is something that happens occasionally after falling asleep, and sometimes might wake you up. Ah, it can happen after sleeping too. If you really want it that way, we could try it too. After shyly saying that, the Princess Veronica shoved the ring back into Leon's hand, eagerly urging, "Your role of failing to woo me, and then assaulting the palace out of love to desecrate me, isn't over yet. Continue." After hearing the script narrated by Princess Veronica, Leon's mouth couldn't help but twitch violently. Playing such a nasty role play? Am I playing around like this in my dream? Oh right, dream. This is a dream. With an almost instinctive retort, after finding the keyword hidden deep in his thoughts, Leon's dream-obscured mind finally managed to shine a little. Taking a deep breath suddenly, Leon pressed down on the princess who was brewing her emotions, doing his best to remind. "Snap out of it. This isn't real. It's just a dream." Dream? Hearing this word that shouldn't appear in the dream realm, Princess Veronica couldn't help but pause slightly. As if receiving an enormous shock, the color on her face drained clean. If it's a dream, then aren't we? We haven't even gotten married yet. Then the wedding. That's next month. It hasn't happened yet. Then the 11 children we had also. Ah. No, nothing. Nothing. Stunned by Leon's shocked look, Princess Veronica embarrassedly waved her hands repeatedly, indicating he heard incorrectly. Nothing had happened. However, she quickly came to, lowered her hands and stared at Leon, saying, "Wait a minute. If this really is a dream, then who among us is real? Huh. Think about it. We can't be having the same dream, right?" Seemingly regaining her confidence, Princess Veronica said enthusiastically, "The dreamer must be only one, so among us, one is the dreamer, and the other is the person in their dream, right? Seems like maybe that's how it is. It must be like that." Successfully convincing the not-so-lucid Leon, Princess Veronica flicked her fingers slightly and deftly undid Leon's shirt button. "Then let's continue." "Huh. What are you afraid of since we're in a dream?" Facing Leon's shocked gaze, Princess Veronica bit her lip, then raised her head and said confidently, "We're getting married next month. Even doing something in reality is completely reasonable. Even less to fear in a dream. Geez, your logic seems perfectly fine, yet it seems incredibly flawed." "Wait a minute." Grabbing Princess Veronica's hand, Leon, still not quite turning the corner, resisted desperately with his last ounce of sanity. "Let me think this through. Something still doesn't feel right. Maybe it's the identity that's off." Princess Veronica thought for a moment, then eagerly suggested, "How about this? Never mind your nocturnal assault on the palace. Change it to a malicious princess robbing a handsome man." "Not okay. Really not okay. I think it must be my dream. So even if it's not okay, you have to listen to me." She pushed Leon forcefully, throwing him onto the mattress. Then in a dream without much rationality, unable to suppress her instincts, the princess grabbed Leon's bow tie, blushing, and uttered that classic line. "Stop struggling. Even if you scream your throat out today, no one will come to save you." Good Lord, just a bit more and he would have escaped. Watching the two pull at each other in the dream, completely obscured by raven feathers, Aquarius director couldn't help but close his eyes, his heart relaxing slightly, then turned to the raven-masked man cosplaying as Yonggua, and said with slight dissatisfaction, "Dongya, you should have sent more authority over just now. If he hadn't been entangled, he would have already run out of the dream." "You say it so easily." To avoid alerting the scarlet hair lady, I threw an arm directly over and confused all his thoughts regarding dreams. Okay? Who knows how he remembered it? Ignoring the raven-masked man's complaints, forcing him to throw another arm over, completely stabilizing the current situation. Aquarius director took a deep breath, grabbed the still screaming and cursing Nightmare Leon, and slowly pressed him into the chaotic dream realm in front. And as his action unfolded, that splendid dream, primarily based on Princess Veronica's dream, suddenly took on a layer of murky gray. Simultaneously, the pine cone on Leon's wrist from the parasitic oak trembled slightly. "This is the feeling of a dream?" Noticing Leon's slight abnormality through the stem and leaves of the parasitic oak, seeing Leon's furrowed brow, the red-haired director flipped through a magazine inside the pine cone, immediately sat up, prepared to use the connection through the parasitic oak to help him escape the nightmare. However, Veronica! Hearing this name, the red-haired director narrowed his eyes, temporarily halted his actions, while Leon in his sleep slightly shook his elbow as if pushing something away, then muttered indistinctly, "Don't take off my clothes, pants, no way. If you don't go down now, I'll get rough." "Jerk, you dreaming erotically next to me is one thing, but in the dream you're the one being pushed down." After hearing Leon's dream talk, the red-haired director's face darkened involuntarily, unhappily reclined back, picked up the magazine beside him, and flipped through it forcefully like venting. "Lying in someone else's bedroom for a while, and you manage to dream erotically, I really have no business managing you." And as the pine cone of the parasitic oak stopped moving, restoring silence, the heart of the raven-masked man, which had jumped to his throat, finally fell back into his belly with a thud. "Scared the hell out of me. Just now when the pine cone started moving, my newly acquired body even forgot how to have a heartbeat, feeling like countless scarlet curls could explode from it at any moment, chopping me into pieces. Hold it. Don't let anything go wrong at a time like this." After reminding the raven-masked man, Aquarius director, also relieved, started slowly exerting force with his hand, pressing the struggling king of nightmares into the princess's dream, now deep gray. Almost there. Almost success. Watching the king of nightmares fully immersed in the princess's dream, rushing towards an astonished Leon, merging with him, the Aquarius director's cheeks couldn't help but flush with excitement. Following the guidance given by the prayer wheel, as long as he could send the king of nightmares into the princess's dream, using her dream as an anchor point to forcibly drag the demonic soul abyss over, then supplementing Dongya's tumultuous authority, he could expel all the souls from the bodies of everyone in the royal capital. And at that time, he would surely acquire an invaluable opportunity, not only able to directly hold back the scarlet hair lady, but also break open layer upon layer of protection she set up to get into the top floor of the Virgin Branch. Next, all he needed to do in the 12 ant nests was to find the ants representing himself and Taurus, and perform a thorough exchange, and he could realize his lifelong pursued dream. With the full promotion of the Chaos Authority, a god-tier nightmare born out of your terror is rapidly merging with you, attempting to elevate your status to a true god. Due to the influence of the special abnormal object, dream-scattering lamp wick, the power of this god-tier nightmare was forcibly extracted and dispersed into the current dreamscape, failing to fully merge with you. The status elevation failed, and the corresponding badge was not activated. Ah! In the instant, a long string of notifications flashed past his eyes. Leon's complexion turned instantly black. It really went completely black. Forced to merge with the King of Nightmares, his entire body seemed as if it was dredged up from a pool of ink, wholly shrouded in deep, pitch-black darkness, with nothing seen except for two eyes full of agony, no other color visible. And with this blanket of darkness descended an indescribable, intense pain. After fully merging with the King of Nightmares, the dream-scattering lamp wick that was originally lodged in his heart was inherited by Leon as it was, making a deep hole in his heart. At this time, Leon, like a pool managed by a mad administrator, felt his body both receiving and releasing water. The immense force belonging to the King of Nightmares surged in like a tide, and then was uncontrollably discharged through the hole made by the dream-scattering lamp wick. Serving as a relay station, Leon felt his soul being stretched vast, as if it might explode at any moment, but the power of the King of Nightmares supported it, never fully collapsing, and under the washing of the authority. He seemed to vaguely gain something. ZZZ. During the process of dispersing the power of this god-tier nightmare through your body into the current dreamscape, you gained partial insights regarding its authority. Successfully activating the non-level special badge Nightmare is the deepest fear in the darkness. Nightmare is the deepest fear in the darkness. As the entity of the new King of Nightmares, during the brief merging, you've naturally touched upon its three most profound authorities. Wearing effects. Effect 1. When it is nighttime, your stamina will be maximized at all times, and your energy will never deplete. Effect 2. The more individuals around you who fear you, and the deeper the fear, the stronger your power will become. Effect 3. When you return to the depths of the dream realm, you will undoubtedly be the master of nightmares, the new King of Nightmares. Advanced route. When the self-penetration value reaches 60 points, and after defeating a true god-level existence that possesses the Night Authority, replenishing your missing authority, this badge will automatically advance to the colorful badge Night Veil King. When self-penetration value reaches 60 points, and after defeating a true god-level existence that possesses the Fear Authority, replenishing your missing authority, this badge will automatically advance to the colorful badge Master of Fear. When self-penetration value reaches 60 points, and after returning to the depths of the dream realm, fully merging your existence with the demonic soul abyss, this badge will automatically advance to the colorful badge Root of the Nightmare. Hidden trait. No need to wear existences coveting any of the three authorities of Night, Fear, and Nightmare will have a significant chance of initiating an attack on you. Additionally, when the light around you is relatively dim, the evil charm belonging to the King of Nightmares will be activated. Leon, are you all right? At the moment the new badge was activated, the princess who was pinned on the sofa with twisted arms seemed to perceive his pain, hurriedly turning her head back, wanting to check on Leon's condition. But just as the princess turned her head, the lamp wick on Leon's chest wobbled slightly, and then with a crisp cracking sound, it was shattered completely by the black torrent. With this last barrier gone, the power of the King of Nightmares within Leon's body surged forth completely, in the blink of an eye dyeing the entire dreamscape black, and rapidly spread to the nearby dreamscapes. Meanwhile, outside of the dreamscape, the Aquarius director took a deep breath, gripping the golden blade in his hands tightly, slicing along a path only he could see, gritting his teeth and cutting fiercely. Boom! With the Aquarius director's action, a sound that didn't truly exist yet was clearly heard by everyone echoed across the royal capital. As if time had rewound, the pitch-black river that once flooded the entire night sky, intercepted by the red-haired director, once again poured into the night sky of the royal capital after 2 months. But this time, the Nightmare River, without obstruction, took over the entire world in an instant, transforming the current world into another demonic soul abyss. Under the influence of the rules of the demonic soul abyss, everyone, whether asleep or awake, had their souls instantly expelled from their bodies, plummeting toward the deepest, darkest bottomless abyss below. At the same time, the pine cone of the parasitic oak on Leon's wrist suddenly broke open, countless strands of vivid red hair gushed out, densely reaching down into the bottomless abyss. In the horror-struck gaze of the raven-masked man, those strands of red hair, denser than raindrops, pierced through every falling soul with precision, managing to pull every soul of the millions of residents in the royal capital back from the brink of the abyss. Impossible. She can actually do even this? Seeing the blood-red hair not only suspending millions of souls but also having the spare strength to pull upwards, the raven-masked man, despite having lost both arms, gasped in disbelief, not daring to believe his own eyes. As for the Aquarius director beside him, far from being dismayed at the failure of his plan upon witnessing this, he instead laughed loudly, proceeding to slice through the blackened dreamscape before him, pushing Leon and the princess within the dreamscape down together. Aquarius! Accompanied by an extremely angry shout, another tuft of red hair surged out of the pine cone on Leon's wrist, attempting to haul the falling Leon back up. However, having been forced to merge with the King of Nightmares, Leon's soul, now entirely a nightmare, weighed as much as a true god. Simultaneously responsible for millions of souls, the red-haired director, even acting in fury, failed to pull Leon up. Instead, during his tug, he crashed directly through the parasitic oak, tumbling out in a somewhat disheveled manner. Olivia! Calling the red-haired director by name, the Aquarius director, upon seeing the increasingly struggling red-haired director, almost half of her soul dragged outside her body, couldn't help but smile. Seems like I've won after all.